Nova Scotia's EMO asked to use the hall as a registration centre for residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
For residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
An RCMP officer was posted here in a cruiser. By this time, police were on the hunt for the shooter, who they knew was impersonating a police officer. At 10:30 a.m., 2 RCMP officers fired multiple shots outside the hall. Sources have told CTV News the officers thought they were firing at the suspect, when it was in fact a fellow Mountie.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Why don't you get yourself some turned-down collars, Poirot? They're much more the thing, you know.
The thing, Hastings? Do you think Poirot concerns himself with mere thingness?
No. No, I see that.
The turned-down collar is the first symptom of decay of the grey cells.
You know, I just think if people keep pushing, I can't, first of all, thank enough all of the hard work. There's 3 fellow YouTubers who are working very, very hard with me on this one. Rage in the Cage, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion. Just plugging them, sorry. But they are fantastic guys, really been busting their humps here. And, you know, stepping up to the plate, because there's a certain amount of risk saying certain things. And also, likewise, all of the people who are volunteering information and time, which, like I said, over on the Discord or sending me anonymously information, it is fantastic.
Okay, well, I had Steve here. Now he's gone. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get him back. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, good evening. Good evening. I speak with, I've got my brother's pepperoni. I'm ready to go here. I've got cigarettes, of course. Always got cartons of these. And I bought, not that you're really concerned with my stuff, but I bought a case of lighters so that I don't have any more lighter issues. And of course I've got Sharpie. Now, how's everybody doing today? We've got Concan in the house. Hello, Tara, our good friend Tara. We've got I'm Not Out of My Mind. So he's not starting at 11 p.m. Got Donna, just say up yours. Okay. We've got Cindy, Big Fun Garage in the house. Bush Baby. Are they censoring you today, Bush Baby? No, looks like some of your comments are getting through. Okay, that's good to see. Make sure your mic isn't muted. Okay, mic's not muted. Hopefully pronunciation will be on point today. Marion, Marla, Harles 5000. I don't know, it sounds like some kind of robot or something. Jiang Love, Alex, Lisa Dean. Oh, all right, we got Sad too. We've got Sharon. How you doing, Sharon? Hopefully, Sharon and Co. Pipes. Let's see here. Darlene. Oh no, now it went all spooky on me. Darlene. Linda. Hello, Linda. How are you doing? Good to see you. Marla. Amy, Nick. Kendall. Kendall's still speaking to me. This is always good. Lynn. Well, when she gets a word out, I won't interrupt her. How's that? Lynn. Blue nose. Down. I had a Halifax Donair today. Very good. I didn't get to finish it. Got busy. Jetta Volvo. That's kind of an oxymoron, no? Jill, what's happening, Jill? Space Explorer, Noble Savages. Hello. What's up? What's up? Wendy Wong. Got a couple of highs from Linda. Hi, hi, hi. Mark Evans. Holding it down in the NB. LB. I wonder if that's an LB. I'm still always wondering. I don't think so. Lynn McGrath. Hello. Beth. Craig. Beth. Hello to everybody. Insane Pyro Purchase. Yeah. No. I was like, you know what? I'll just go to Costco. Let's just buy a fucking lot of these. And then, you know, I don't know. Don't like to talk about fire on this channel, but at least I got something to light my cigarettes with, right? I need that. I can't have that. Jan Morrissey. Mandy Upshaw. What's going on? Nosy Scotian. Nosy Glen B. Snippy Pinky. I like the name. Snippy Pinky. What's going on? Feeling under the weather. Crohn's. Oh no. Special prayers. Okay. It's a coincidence. I happen to share her initials. You mean Beth? Is it Beth? And Ms. Fox, of course. Ms. Fox. Now. Okay, so it's been a busy week. Lots of things to talk about. But of course, we have one thing. I do hope that we're going to get Steve back here. The SHiT report is out. And yeah, I don't know what your guys' feel is. Please let me know in the comments below. Or where did I get the Donair? I got it at a special store that has Donair stuff and Brothers TNT, you know. I'm trying to I'll never be a Nova Scotian, obviously, because I can't even pronounce my name hardly, but yeah. At least maybe I can eat like it. Tastes good. So I thought we could run through a couple of things on the Serious Incidents Response Team, or the SHiT. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Good thing you didn't buy a bunch of tiki torches. Yeah. Christina, how's it going? Bagels. I'm feeling like bagels. I had to freeze some bagels. I bought a bunch of them, and then Now, I don't know what we should run through first. Should we go through the actual report? Should we read Weather Girl's stuff? I think somebody got angry about the Weather Girl stuff. We could play a few videos, maybe. And of course, we've got our friend in here, maybe. She may be able to contribute lots of goodies, depending on where she's at. Lots of stuff. Watchdog recommends no charges against RCMP officers who shot at Nova Scotia Fire Hall. Funny that. Now, I didn't share the audio thing here. What did you guys think of the 13 hours? We'll stop that. And then we'll share again. Share audio. We'll get their take on it first. Actually, it's going to probably have commercials, isn't it? Balls on the commercials. Frozen bagels are not kosher now. Jeez. Oh, you shared. Thank you, Tara. Thank you. Deep fried pepperoni, honey mustard. Good. I forgot to get Dave's hot sauce when I was up there. Dave's. Anyways. one of these days. Okay. Actually, I recorded this. I don't know why I didn't. Anyway, whatever. We'll play it off their site. It's fine. Okay, now 13 hours calling themselves. Welcome to all the Discord people too. Okay, so we get a little bit of video here. Now we will actually go through the video a little bit more thoroughly after this, but we'll get a little opening here. Where are all the videos? Yes. Isn't it funny how everything just keeps shifting time, shifting clocks? Musical clocks. Hello, Cheryl. Okay. Well, we will break it down, Marla, and everybody can throw their pieces in. I'll try and give whatever I can, but of course, always. Is this the fire department? This is Onslow Fire Department. No, I don't want to watch whatever Corona nonsense you've got going there. Now, let's go back to the report. Okay, I don't have the microphone muted. This is good. So far, so good. 2 RCMP officers who unleashed a hailstorm of semi-automatic gunfire at Onslow Belmont Fire Brigade last April while searching for Nova Scotia gunmen will not face criminal charges, according to the report completed by the province's Serious Incidents Response Team, the SHiT. The SHiT report said that the 2 officers who fired their weapons did so believing the person they were shooting at was the gunman. Takes a moment to absorb that one. This is because he was dressed similarly to the gunman, wearing a yellow and orange reflective vest and standing near a marked RCMP cruiser at the time of the shooting. The investigation found that based on everything the officers had seen and heard since coming on duty and what they had observed at the time, they had reasonable grounds. That's a legal term. Reasonable grounds. Nick Blue, what's going on, Blue? To believe that the male was the killer and someone would continue his killing rampage. Someone who would continue his killing rampage. My apologies. They discharged their weapons in order to prevent further deaths and serious injuries. That is, they discharged their weapons in the thought they discharged their weapons in order to prevent their, no, it did nothing, actually. It caused a lot of serious problems. Serious Incidents Response Team. The report said, accordingly, no criminal offense was committed and no charges warranted against either officer. The officers, there we go, you can go over to 13 hours and listen to weather. 13 music. I don't know, something's going on over there. The officers who were not named in the report were carrying semi-automatic police carbines at the time of the shooting. like the Colt law enforcement carbines type carbine. The one sourced out of where? California, that they won't tell you anything about. According to 2 eyewitnesses and surveillance video from the fire hall reviewed by Global News, the shots were fired in the direction of fellow RCMP officer who was stationed at the hall and an employee of the Regional Emergency Management Office. Okay, well, let's see. We'll go to this one too. They're going to play an ad for this. I don't know. Does it play music when I mute it? Crap. Oh, look at the all-seeing something. Please stand by. Please go away. Kendall, right back at you. David. Richard Oliver. Hello, David Davids. Hello from the UK. Criminal RCMP. Okay.
I remember thinking when I was in there, how am I going to die?
In the middle of a manhunt for a mass shooter, 2 RCMP officers opened fire outside a fire hall in Lower Onslow, Nova Scotia. More than 10 months later, no one has told the men who survived what happened.
I mean, they put us through hell, I'm going to say the word, that day, and I think we need an explanation. It should have been done months ago.
Onslow Belmont Fire Brigade Chief Greg Muse and Deputy Chief Daryl Curry were inside when the shots rang out at 10:21 a.m. Across the street, a neighbor saw an unmarked car stop on the highway.
The 2 doors swung open. 2 people ran towards the fire hall. One went in the ditch, one went behind the garbage bin, and they just opened fire.
The Mounties shot toward the main entrance of the fire hall, damaging the building and a fire truck inside. The shots flew past another RCMP officer standing next to a marked cruiser and an emergency management office coordinator who was wearing a reflective vest. It's believed the Mounties mistook one of them for the gunman. Gabriel Wortman was driving a mock cruiser and wearing a police uniform and vest at the time. He killed 22 people over 13 hours on April 18th and 19th, 2020. Surveillance video viewed by Global News shows the 2 Mounties spent less than 2 minutes on the property after the shooting. And for an hour, the men inside the hall say no one told them that the shooters were the police.
We were terrorized for 1 hour by the RCMP in the middle of the worst mass shooting in Canadian history.
Curry and Muse say the RCMP have never apologized. The RCMP won't comment on the shooting, citing an ongoing investigation by the independent police watchdog, the Serious Incident Response Team. Sarah Ritchie, Global News, Halifax.
Now, Sarah will also bring you the weather later. I did hear, I have a very difficult time listening to their stuff. I'm sorry. I know I like to be as open-minded as possible and try and take everything, and you always should, but it's just, some of that stuff is too much. Heart-wrenching, yeah. Terrible. But thanks to all of your hard work, and of course, always the people on the Discord, you guys are phenomenal. Keeping up the hard work over there, much appreciated. Okay, and we got the channels of people below working hard still at this, and I think it's really paying off. I find that results are being seen. Politicians, Jenga. Both were outside in the front of the building when the RCMP officers began firing, according to 2 witnesses and surveillance video reviewed by Global News. 2 volunteer firefighters and the man whose son was killed by the gunman the night before were inside the fire hall at the time of the shooting. Oh, that's great. Remember we talked about that, like right at the beginning? Traumatizing, re-traumatizing. Can we just keep doing this? This is good. Keep doing it to the families, still to this very day, over and over and over. You know, and if they want to really resolve this stuff, they could just come out and tell the truth, absolve themselves, follow the mercy of Canadians, apologize for all of their actions across the board. And I'm talking about the operations that have been running down there for a long time, and start dealing with this reasonably. But no, we're going to continue with the ongoing investigation shit. The shooting occurred at 10:21, April 19th, during the search for Gabriel Wortman, who murdered 23 people before he was shot dead by 2 other RCMP's officers later that morning. They're going to continue with this one. They will, one of these days, we'll break them of that. Families, we're going to be coming up here, okay? Events are going to be coming along. Very excited to hopefully participate in some of these things. And yeah, we just got to keep the, I hope they drop by for a coffee. We need to make an anniversary video. Surmising research. I'm not in the Discord group, but would be happy to do so. Thank you. I often get asked, how do we, you know, it would be great just to do a summary video. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. What are we at? 150, over 150 videos now. Live streams. It's tough to surmise everything. It was during this interview where officers took an official statement from the gunman's common law spouse that the officer learned the gunman was wearing a reflective vest. There we go. We have the emergency management officer running for dear life. The time of the shooting at the fire hall, the 2 RCMP officers were located more than 88 meters, 240, in the neighborhood of 300 feet away from the person they were shooting at when they began firing. According to the report, this is roughly the length of a football field. You know, I don't know what people's vision is like, but I know mine's not that great. Rank it right up there with my pronunciation. The report also said that the RCMP officers tried to identify themselves as police before shooting. Okay, tried to identify themselves. But the person they mistakenly believed was the gunman ducked behind the police cruiser and did not respond. It was at this point the officers fired their weapons. 5 shots in total, the report said. 5 shots. Okay. People who say they witnessed the RCMP officers firing their weapons at some point, those who were fired upon, say they are traumatized, still traumatized by the incident. On that day, we were terrorized for 1 hour by the RCMP. I think it's still ongoing, but, you know, Deputy Chief Curry is a very noble man. Said Daryl Curry, ONSLOW deputy chief, and one of the men shot at by the RCMP officers during an interview before the report was released. Notice the timing of all this. I'm very big on timing. Everything went. You got the ONSLOW weather report. 13 hours. You've got everybody got fired up right away before the SHiT report came out. Because you got to do damage control. That's what this is all about, damage control. Which one of us was Gabriel Wortman? Yeah. Huh? I mean, this stuff is, notice the shootings at ONSLOW Fire Department. Same time, stopped. Yes. We're going to get into some of the timing here too. The shooting, Curry was at the fire hall in the morning of April 19th, and ONSLOW Fire Chief Greg Muse setting up an evacuation center for people affected by the killing spree. The two men were inside with the father of a shooting victim when they heard a flurry of semi-automatic gunfire coming from outside the building. Surveillance video from inside the building shows Curry hurriedly moving toward another part of the building to take cover once the shooting begins. The video also shows EMO employee who was outside when the shooting started entering the building, staying low in an apparent attempt to avoid being shot. Notice the this is important. Times are very important. Curry and Muse said that when the shooting started, they began flipping tables on their sides to make it more difficult for whoever was shooting at them to find them. They also hid behind stacked metal chairs. Great report earlier we did. I don't know how long back that was. Excellent interview with Sharon, who is in the chat, and so please refer back to that. I should have left that in the stuff. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's in the video list. ONSLOW witness, I think, speaks up or something like that, and it was done a long time ago, you know, and when they didn't care. Now all of a sudden they care. It's funny. Just keep the pressure up. Keep the pressure up. Michael Penny, how's it going? How's it going? Bullet holes. You know, going through trucks and disabling them. I think this is the pumper that was disabled, and I heard it was disabled for quite some time. North River had to give him the pumper. At the time of the shooting, no one was inside the building. No one inside the building knew who was firing at them, Curry and Muse said. Before, both men said they assumed it was the gunman. They also said they were relieved to make it out of the fire hall alive. It was probably the absolute worst moment of my life. I would think this also dragging on it ranks right up there too, just like with all Nova Scotians. Great interview. Sharon's a real warrior. 7 or 8 months ago. Is that how long it was? It was so awesome. Get some facts out there. Start pushing these people. Lots of people in the Discord. There's one person in particular doing some very hard work on all this. I don't think people understand the seriousness of how close somebody was to dying that day at the hands of the RCMP, the very people who are there to protect them, including the father of Mr. Weber. How tragic. The surveillance video, Global News has reviewed the surveillance from inside and outside the fire hall taken the day of the shooting. The video does not show the RCMP officers firing their weapons because they're so far away, and the camera actually doesn't pick that up. At the time of the shooting, the officers were out of range, football fields, you know, away, because they can see so well. Thank you for the link, Oh Dear. Those of you who have not subscribed to Oh Dear's channel, excellent stuff. She's got a couple videos out there right now on this going. Tons of great videos. The links below. Please go and subscribe. 2 people who witnessed the shooting told Global News they saw 2 RCMP officers in an unmarked vehicle. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I want to use this on that, because Oh dear is amazing. Yeah, there it is. What is going on? Stop on the road. Please, please, please. How long ago was that again? 7-8 months ago. You can go back to, what is it? Halifax Examiner, or was it Chronicle Herald, who also interviewed Sharon way back when. Way back. Way before the interview. Like right at the beginning of this. It says it right in there. Gray Hyundai. Okay. Stop on the road outside the fire hall and began firing. But they just keep pushing this. How many corrections are we on now with CBC? How many? I don't mean to, my brain is always all over the place. Let's look at CBC's Fifth Estate. You fucking bastards. Playing your funky games. Unbelievable what these people are doing. There we go. Where are they at today? Correction 15? Pinned 2 weeks ago. Edited. Oh, they just keep editing. And then let's see here. Oh, now they've got it down to editing. Oh, the update clarifies our further note from February 17th. Correction February 22nd. They had second correction in there. I mean, what in the hell? The man emerged from an unmarked vehicle. In fact, she said unmarked vehicle. Balls! Balls. Oh, they finally got it. She believed it was a Hyundai. She believed. She told you in her own words. And CBC, in its infinite glory, bullshit smearing campaign and disinformation op, decided to have Gillian Finley tell you. Maybe Jillian will stop following me on Twitter now that I've kind of, boo, I'm going to be sad. The witnesses said the RCMP officers exited the vehicle after stopping and took up positions in the ditch and near a set of garbage cans. Both officers then started opening fire in the direction of the fire hall, the witnesses said. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, 10:55, 10:35, 10:25, whatever. Of course, right? The surveillance video from outside the fire hall shows two uniformed RCMP officers approach the building with an assault-style weapons drawn, those Colt law enforcement carbines. One of the officers goes towards the side of the building while the other officer goes towards the front entrance. That poor Tonka truck. Nice wooden Tonka truck. I think it took some bullets. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Where did you go, buddy? Where did you go? Fall off the face of the planet? Spiced it up. Okay, the officer who headed towards the side of the building continues to walk around the back of the hall, the surveillance video shows. The officer's weapon appears to be pointed towards the ground as he walks. Thank God for small wonders. The video shows the officer does not appear to be looking behind or inside any of the sheds or trailers or shipping containers located on the property. His sweep takes less than a minute, according to a video. I'm thinking it's like a derp. A derp. Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to have the video. You don't have to have the video. Meanwhile, the other officer who approached the front entrance of the building is seen entering the fire hall with the RCMP officer who was stationed there. According to the timestamps of the video, the officer with the assault-style firearm was inside of the building for less than, how long? 20 seconds. The officer who was stationed at the fire hall was inside the building for 30 seconds. But this is shocking. Because this was what was going on. There's one less Tweety in here. They pressed the unlike button. Just saying. Oh, is there an unlike? Come along. Sorry about that. Curry, maybe it's Julian. Curry and Muse said none of the RCMP officers, or weather lady, I don't know, of the RCMP officers checked on them. None. To see if they were injured. Just discharge firearms. Don't worry about it. Take stuff out. Indo? Okay, maybe. Indo. Curry said he heard one of the officers ask if everyone inside was okay, but neither he or Muse replied because at the time they didn't know who was shooting at them and because they did not know who was asking if they were okay. What did Kendall have? Probably Kage. This is not how we operate. Not Keystone Cowboys. The two men said they waited for an hour before exiting the building. They only did so because they received an update on Twitter that said the gunman was spotted in another part of the province. Well, I'm glad they had Twitter. Sharon didn't have Twitter. She does now. No apology. I heard that they used the Twitter the other day for something. Like, they still can't. And there was an emergency response that was done by an independent, it was a city, I think, or something, or town. Those of you who know can fill me in. I forget the exact details. No apology. Curry and Muse said the RCMP paid for the cost of the damage on the building and equipment, including the fire truck caused by the shooting. Here's some money. Here's our money. Here's our money. Don't worry, I'll just keep paying for it. No, I'm not paying for it. I want my underwear back. Give it back. Give it back. How can you pay for? You can't put a monetary figure on damaging people's lives, like Sharon's, like Joy's. How about like Mr. Ellison's? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I have some words of advice on that from a legal standpoint. Let's get real here. But they said no one from the force has offered an explanation. No one. No apology, no explanation for what had happened. Not even checking to see if they're okay. For what happened that morning, and no one has apologized for the trauma that they experienced. Let's I got a little video. Actually, this is probably the good time to insert that video. That's for sure. You want to know? Here we go. Back June 4th. I think this was the what was this one? Where's my props when you need them? I've got papers everywhere. Leather. June 4th, 2020. Let's see what he's up to today. As he's traumatizing everybody across the country and families and all the people down in Onslow.
There's something I'll add about Onslow because what took place on April 19th, as the incident was unfolding and was traumatic for those that were there. Since then, I, along with local RCMP commanders from the area, met with the chief and deputy of the Onslow Fire Brigade to hear firsthand what people had experienced on the 19th. We had a very respectful and honest conversation, and as partners, we made a commitment to continue to work shoulder to shoulder in our shared responsibility of public safety. We are moving forward together and are compensating the fire service for the damage to the property at the fire hall. In our shared responsibility as partners, we made a commitment to continue to work shoulder to shoulder in our shared responsibility of public safety.
That's fantastic. They had a frank discussion. I don't know. Maybe somebody told him to stop shaking his papers, shitting his pants, peeing himself, doing whatever he was doing over there. No, sir, you damaged people's lives irreparably. 23 families and all of the people involved in the ONSLOW event. And you can't offer an apology. What it is that you can use my money and everybody else's money in here to pay for your mistakes. No. I want my underwear back. Your pension fund is going to pay. Everybody should be launching lawsuits against the pension fund because that hurts them. His pension, which funnily enough comes from you anyway, right? Don't worry. We'll pay for the lawyers for you too. But frankly, if that's what it's going to take to get you guys to do something here. Anyway, moving along. Not moving along. They put us through hell, Muse said. And I don't feel any better than when I did when this happened. Where is the psychological services that were... are you going to... That's... Again. Hello? Money? I bet you got pension. I think I heard something about that they got raises. They were working out raises for themselves. Now, believe it. I don't care. Go after it hard. They have to live in these communities. There are lots of good people that did good work there. And I understand somebody shit on me about that. That's true. There are lots of good people that did great work. When they have that kind of leadership, this is the problem. We have those kinds of employees managing our other employees. Global News asked the RCMP if any officers apologized for the shooting and if an explanation for what happened that morning was provided to the officers, to the firefighters. A spokesman for the force declined to answer these questions. Declined? That's not what I pay you for. No, you answer until I tell you you're done and you can go home. Our criminal operations officer met with members of the ONSLOW Belmont Fire Brigade in light of the distress of the incident on April 19th may have caused, Corporal Mark Skinner said. RCMP has paid for damages to the ONSLOW Fire Hall, repairs to the fire truck, an electronic sign that was damaged as a result of the incident, which funnily enough raises a whole other issue entirely. Well, two. One which we will get to in the report more in depth, but this is not how you resolve things. This is somebody who has no responsibility. That's not what we need in our society. We need people who are responsible. It's a mistake. Yeah. Oops. At the very least, an apology should be issued. I don't care if you lose face. You already have no face. It's gone. Your reputation is bunk. Bunk. It's only going to go down. The continued actions of the RCMP has seen to that, which they're obviously surveillance video taken at the ONSLOW Fire Brigade Hall shows 2 RCMP officers fired their automatic weapons at a man they mistakenly believed to be a Nova Scotia gunman. We're going to get into some more of this in depth. The footage from inside and outside the fire hall was taken on the morning of April 19th, 2020. Oh, sorry, that was the point I wanted to make. The fire department has to work very closely with the RCMP. So it's a real catch-22. What do? These people all have to work together, but you can't have people opening fire. These are comrades in arms, are they not? Now they're going to be in fear that other officers are going to open fire on them. That's a natural assumption. The 2 officers who fired their weapons have not been identified. No, they didn't do anything wrong. And, according to RCMP, have been assigned to administrative duty pending the outcome of 2 ongoing internal reviews. I think that would be a great A-tip right there. And request for the Nova Scotia government. Find out. A report issued March 2nd by the province's Serious Incidents Response Team, the SHiT, said the officers acted reasonably and recommended no criminal charges. Reasonably. As long as you think, hey, let's have our reasons for doing selective amnesia. Somebody's changed their name. The investigation found that based on everything the officers had seen and heard since coming on duty and what they had observed at the time, they had reasonable, that's again a legal term, reasonable grounds. Judge Cashillon, retired, head of the SHiT, definitely understands the legality, to believe that the male they were shooting at was the killer and someone who would continue his killing rampage. They discharged their weapon in order to prevent further deaths or serious injuries, reports it. Accordingly, no criminal offense was committed. Nothing to see here. And no charges were warranted against either officer. The person the 2 Mounties mistook, listen, if you're so fine about it, why don't you say their names? Maybe they are concerned that people may be like, I don't like you. You're not a nice neighbor to have. You kind of scared people in our community. Be curious to find out if the 2 officers ever apologized, but I would think that's a code of conduct. Perhaps they did, and then maybe, we're talking a different ballgame, but the person the 2 Mounties mistook for the killer was an on-duty employee of the local emergency management office. He was wearing a reflective vest similar to the one, similar to the killers, and standing near a marked police cruiser when the shooting started. I wonder if this is the same video. Is this the same video?
Brett.
I don't want to hear about your Ford truck, even though I like Ford. Global News has asked the RCMP whether it believed the officers acted reasonably when firing their weapons and if they received any additional training since the incident. What do you think that the response is going to be?
I remember thinking when I was in there, how am I going to die?
In the middle of a manhunt for a mass shooter, 2 RCMP officers opened fire outside a fire hall in Lower Onslow, Nova Scotia. More than 10 months later, no one has told the men who survived what happened.
I mean, they put us through hell, I'm going to say the word, that day, and I think we need an explanation. And it should have been done months ago.
Onslow Belmont Fire Brigade Chief Greg Muse and Deputy Chief Daryl Curry were inside when the shots rang out at 10:21 a.m. Across the street, a neighbor saw an unmarked car stop on the highway.
The 2 doors swung open. 2 people.
Weather Girl. I don't believe that was what was said, but let's go back, Weather Girl. I know maybe you didn't hear the storm front coming through. Let's see what you say again.
Inside when the shots rang out at 10:21 a.m. Across the street, a neighbor saw an unmarked car stop on the highway.
Get back to the weather because it's not working. It is really not working for you. I don't know. Perhaps Sharon can enlighten me. Perhaps I'm wrong. I don't believe she said an unmarked vehicle, unmarked cruiser, unmarked, whatever, unidentified UFO vehicle, divert, streaky light thing. No, sorry. Oh, hello. Welcome. Welcome. Well, my apologies to you.
The 2 doors swung open. 2 people ran towards the fire hall. One went in the ditch. One went behind the garbage bin. And they just opened fire.
The Mounties shot toward the main entrance of the fire hall, damaging the building and a fire truck inside. The shots flew past another RCMP officer standing next to a marked cruiser and an emergency management office coordinator who was wearing a reflective vest. It's believed the Mounties mistook one of them for the gunman. Gabriel Wortman was driving a mock cruiser and wearing a police uniform and vest at the time. He killed 22 people over 13 hours on April 18th and 19th, 2020. Surveillance video viewed by Global News shows the 2 Mounties spent less than 2 minutes on the property after the shooting. And for an hour, the men inside the hall say no one told them that the shooters were the police.
We were terrorized for 1 hour by the RCMP in the middle of the worst mass shooting in Canadian history.
Curry and Muse say the RCMP have never apologized. The RCMP won't comment on the shooting, citing an ongoing investigation by the independent police watchdog, the Serious Incident Response Team. Sarah Ritchie, Global News.
All right, so I stand corrected. One report did say that. Now, my question, why would you say different versions? Another question I would have, ma'am. There are over 380 people who have devoted their free time, unpaid, who have a great deal of research accumulated by this point. Perhaps you may want to speak with them. You may find some things very interesting. Just saying. The RCMP refused to answer these questions, but I stand corrected. You did say in one report, but I find it interesting that you would say something else in another report. Perhaps memory is short. Well, actually, that's two I've read now. The RCMP refused to answer these questions, citing an internal code of conduct investigation and a hazardous occurrence investigation team review into the officer's actions. I'm not able to get into the specifics of the incident because of the ongoing RCMP investigations into that matter, said Corporal Skinner in a written statement. Written. This is how cowards hide behind paper. No. No. That's not what you get paid for. No. Skinner did, however, say the RCMP is working to prevent this type of incident from happening again in the future. We share the concerns this incident raised. We referred this matter to SHiT and have fully cooperated in SHiT's investigation. Would be great if this was independent. Would be great if people were actually held responsible. Would be great if an apology was issued to all those that were involved. Would be great if retraining at the bare minimum was given to these officers. No. We're going to absolve them. The incident remains under investigation by the RCMP with the intent of preventing a similar future occurrence. You know, that's the catch-all phrase. Just fill it in the blanks. Put it into any kind of investigation. They've got that one figured out. They have a pattern they have used for years. I'm not into tearing you down, Sarah Ritchie, but what I am into is uncovering the truth. If you want to push garbage, that's not fair to the people that you apparently are trying to inform. Stop it. Prior to the release of the SHiT report, the RCMP refused to comment on the shooting, citing the ongoing SHiT investigation. Let's pass the buck. Not my fault. You can go over here, phone that phone number. Don't worry, we pay for those phone numbers too. And all the paper. The RCMP has also declined to answer questions. I'm glad at least those questions are being asked. Thank you. And for that, I am eternally grateful to Sarah Ritchie and Global. Ask the questions, get the answers about April 18th and 19th. But funnily enough, like I said, you got freebies over here. Free, who have accumulated mountains of data. I have done this nonstop since the beginning. I don't take days off. Just ask the families. Killing spree generally citing the ongoing joint federal and provincial inquiry. wish I had that clip. Maybe I have it still. I do. Will take me a moment to find. Dunphy. Dunphy? Yes. Okay. I want you to watch this very carefully because this is how they respond after a public inquiry. Okay. This is Don Dunphy. Anybody familiar with Don Dunphy? Very interesting.
So why have the RCMP decided not to lay charges in this case?
The investigation has been complete. Our first priority was share that with the family, and as much publicized, the review of our investigation by the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team was also important to have the family meet with them and go over that. The investigation is complete. It's a tragic circumstances for the family. There's no I guess the overall completeness of the investigation was the examination of that review. It was determined that we did everything appropriate through the course of standardized practices, and the information that was gathered during the course of investigation did not require criminal charges.
What more can you tell us about what actually happened? We've been told basically a shot was fired in the house when the RNC went to the house, but what more can you tell us about what actually happened?
We can't discuss a lot of the details of the investigation. There's reports of a pending inquiry into this matter. The RCMP certainly doesn't want to do any or provide any information that might slant or hamper that process from unfolding as it should.
What do you say to people who,
the
RNC is the force involved, the other provincial police force, yours, investigated them, even though ACERT investigated, there are going to be people who say, well, of course the police officer wasn't charged. What do you say to those people who have that feeling?
We certainly understand that, and that I think that's part of why the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team was called in. They're an independent civilian-led investigative body who reviewed our investigation. They reviewed it. They examined every aspect of it, were provided with all the information. Their conclusions were that it was done with no bias, no tunnel vision, no lack of objectivity, and it was thorough and complete, following the best standards and practices of major case management.
Will anything change as a result of this? Because one of the criticisms is that a police officer went there alone, and there was another person, there were no other witnesses. Had two officers gone, somebody else may have been able to say more about what happened.
I think all of that will be part of what, if there is an inquiry into that matter. To speculate on what will happen in the future, I can't comment on that.
But prior to an inquiry,
will
the ACERT report be released?
No, the ACERT report is part of our investigation. It falls into that. The content of it is such that it can't be released because it is part of the investigation itself. The findings we shared through the fact of that it was a review was completed and that the investigation that we conducted was thorough, complete, and unbiased.
The report of David Rich was supposed to be released at the conclusion of this whole process. Is that going to happen?
That was part of the ACERT's review, and it was included in all the information.
So, but when Mr. Rich was retained, the public was told that his report would be released publicly. Is that happening?
No, there will be no reports released with regard to that. Again, as mentioned, it's part of the investigation itself, and as part of the investigation, it will be part of what is examined if there is a pending inquiry.
But if the investigation is concluded and a decision has been made, what is the imperative for withholding this documentation?
We don't normally release any information from our investigations, witness statements, lab test results. That's normal. It's not unheard of that we don't release that sort of information. There is, as I mentioned, a pending inquiry, and we certainly don't want to be doing anything that would hamper or slant how that would turn out.
Are you aware by not releasing the report, it creates an environment that is ripe for speculation, and how do you plan to combat that, if at all?
Well, I think the thing we have to focus on here is that our investigation was reviewed by an independent civilian-led third body. They investigated our investigation to check for bias, prejudice, lack of objectivity. They found none of that. They found that the investigation was done thorough, completely, and with the best practices of modern case management.
Were there any recommendations made?
Yes, we would expect there would be recommendations as different police services have different practices and but the recommendations that were provided had no impact on the conclusions that were reached during the course of that investigation.
So were there recommendations made in the ACER report?
Yes. Yes.
How many?
I wasn't privy to the report myself. The recommendations as such did not have any impact on the outcome, and that is documented.
So why is he there? He didn't even read the report. Why is he there other than just to run defense and say, I don't have to answer anything. There's ongoing investigations. Yes, there's a report issued. Yes, there were recommendations. Sorry, I can't tell you anything. I'm not sure. You can usually get more work out of a slug.
How can we trust you when you say that the recommendations didn't have any bearing and that ACER certified that it was a fair investigation if we can't see the ACER report?
That is ACER's determination from there. That is their conclusion.
They concluded that the report cannot be released.
No, they concluded that the recommendations had no impact on the outcome of the investigation.
But I mean, at this point, all we have is the RCMP's say-so. We haven't seen any documentation. We haven't seen the ACER report. How can we just blindly trust the RCMP on this?
The investigation was reviewed by an independent civilian-led third party. They reviewed our investigation, made those determinations, and that's what we shared with you today.
Can you tell us how many shots were fired that day?
No, I can't tell you any of the information that's in part of the investigation. All that will be probably part of what comes forward at the provincial inquiry.
Was the officer who shot and killed Mr. Gandolfi following all protocol? Can you say that?
The protocol for all these procedures for the RNC, we'd have to speak to them.
Is it fair to say he shot Gandolfi in self-defense?
The investigation that we conducted into this examined all the circumstances. It's a very tragic incident. We looked at all aspects, all the circumstances surrounding in the information, and there was no information that led us to lay any criminal charges.
Right. What does that mean? Does that mean he didn't break any rules? Does that mean he didn't do anything illegal? What exactly did he do or not do that day?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
So you say there's nothing to suggest that there's any charges warranted. Can you tell us if he shot himself? I mean, what does that mean? Did he shoot the other man in self-defense? Did Mr. Gandolfi shot in self-defense? Was he shot?
Yes, that's we're saying basically that the investigation concluded that as much force was used as was necessary, and there was no information around the circumstances in the investigation itself that would lead us to lay any criminal charges.
What was the reaction of Mr. Dunphy's family when they were given the ACER report?
This is a very tragic incident. I don't want to pretend to speak on their behalf. We met with them this morning. We arranged for ACER to come and meet with them to go over the report with them. And I don't want to, speak on their behalf. It would.
Sound familiar? Sound familiar? It's a cookie cutter. Always cookie cutter. I'm trying to find I've discussed this before. I'm trying to find what actually ACER did say. There were some interesting things in that report. Yes, this is it. So excellent. Wow. You remember how he said, like, they made some recommendations and they did everything above board? It's standard procedure to have an officer monitor an interview between a subject officer and another officer. This is an investigation into their investigation. ACERT, an independent body, which isn't really independent, but this was their findings, part of them. It is also standard practice for the monitor to make monitor notes. These notes can be a form of backup documentation of the context, gist, and or key portions of an interview. RCMP followed best practices in the digital recording of April 8th, 2015 interview with the subject officer. That is gold standard. Unfortunately, investigators encountered something all investigative agencies have at one time or another. The digital equipment failed. Technology is fantastic when it works, but can be extremely problematic when it doesn't. Thanks for that, Biff. In this case, the equipment failed. Monitored notes, if they had existed, would have at least provided at least some documentation as to what was said during the interview. but no monitor notes were located on file. Monitor notes should be considered, especially during pivotal interviews. Really? Can't comment. We did everything right. Don't worry about it. Wow. And that reporter really, really took him to task. A couple of them there. How do we know? We have your say so. Well, I can't comment on families' behalf. Of course, we know exactly how the family felt. Dunphy's family felt. They were pissed. Really pissed. How can this man sleep at night? Why are we paying this man? Why are we paying these people when they can't stand up and do the right thing? I will not be a party of that. I don't care if you take my job. I don't care if you harass me. It doesn't matter. I don't want to be part of that crap. That's the way we should lead our lives. Yes, I thought. Apparently not. This is what we pay for. You think you're going to see any different? Did you see how stacked the deck is in this one? Oh yeah, it's stacked. Let's get back to it. My God. Citing an ongoing joint federal and provincial inquiry. Huh. Sound familiar? I got lots of them. And I got people behind me who got a hell of a lot more than me. So, your dirt is really starting to roll out. I understand. For some reason, you actually literally want to tank your own organization. I won't let you. I have too much pride in our force, but it isn't going to operate the way it is anymore. We need police. That's a given. The last time a spokesman for the RCMP appeared before reporters to answer questions about the killing spree was when? June 4th press conference. Remember the one Pissy Pants all was in? Pissy Pants, Pissy Pants. At the time, RCMP Chief Superintendent Leather committed to providing a timely and relevant updates into the investigation. How long are we in here? To the best of my knowledge, the RCMP has said that they will not say anything more to families. They're done. They're using the inquiry now as an excuse. Gum on the shoe. I forget what it is. Sorry. And they said that a long time ago. No, we don't really have to. Sorry about that. Questions they will answer here and there. But you know how fast they are and prompt they are at telling families about information? Do you remember what Harry Bond said? Most of the information I find out, in fact, all the information pretty much I find out is through you, being the media. Now, this is why media has to be accountable also and hold these people accountable, because that is their profession. It isn't taking the $600 million bailout programs so that they can write pieces that help these people. That is incorrect. Think it's tinfoil? Who pays the piper? RCMP Union response. This is psychological trash. It is psychological warfare. They fight. Okay? You know, I don't have a clean mouth, Sarah Ritchie. Sorry. I can put on a suit. Trust me. I got racks of them. And I can behave myself too in public. I won't tolerate families getting treated this way. I will not. Following the release of the SHiT report, the National Police Federation, oh good, this is an interesting organization. A union that represents roughly 20,000 officers said it was pleased with SHiT's thoughtful, fair, timely, really? Timely and transparent decision not to recommend criminal charges against. I think that's what they're pleased with. You can probably just delete this. We'll use the this one, right? The Sharpie, okay, and we can remove the middle piece here, right here. How about that? Was pleased with SHiT's decision not to recommend criminal charges against the officers who fired the weapons. Derp. The union also said that it's confident in the brave and selfless actions of its members during the 13-hour manhunt for the gunman. This was extremely challenging and complex emergency response. Fluid and dynamic and all kinds of words. Goop. Gobbledygook word salad. Particularly given that the suspect was known to be wearing an RCMP uniform. Okay, now I don't know if this one's not a replica. Sometimes it is, sometimes not. Just depends on who's writing that day, who's saying it sometimes. RCMP uniform and driving a replica RCMP vehicle. How does that ever been determined exactly? I haven't seen any kind of investigation done on that. Have you? I haven't seen anything. I've just seen people sitting in front of microphones. Sometimes, in Bergelman's case, they're like that. And then they hide in their cubbyhole after June 4th. And then say, we're not answering any questions. They just said that anyway at the beginning. Why does it need to be wrapped with a pretty bow? Andrew said. Oh, you're banned? Really? Okay. Interesting. Sauvé. I love Brian Sauvé. I tell you, I'm acquiring a lot of enemies. Who cares? Fuck them. This means that our members needed to be hyper-vigilant in order to stop a killer, as well as keeping a community and each other safe. On the weekend, April 18 and 19, 2020, Gabriel Wortman murdered 23. Sarah, if you're still here, please correct that. All the families want that. Save possibly one member. To the best of my knowledge, shall I say, I'll rephrase that. Because I can't say things definitively. Because that would be wrong. But most all of the family members that I have spoken to, who obviously speak to other family members because I don't encroach on them at all, have said 23. Including RCMP Constable Heidi Stevenson, one of the deadliest killing sprees in Canadian history. I could substitute in 22 other names. Well, 21. And one unknown. There are other people involved in this. A lot of people. Wortman also, including my friend. Wortman also injured RCMP Chad Morrison during a shootout, Highway 2, roughly 1 hour before he was shot and killed by 2 other RCMP officers at a gas station. Full-scale questions, lots of questions. Full-scale inquiry into the killing spree was ordered by the federal and provincial governments in July, following a public outcry over an earlier decision to launch an independent review. They just had that sitting around in their back pocket, the inquiry, because they just pulled that out within a few days. But it took them months to dream up something that you didn't have to compel witnesses to come and testify. They didn't have to tell the truth. Yay! That sounds like a kangaroo court. The publication of the, we'll get to that maybe sometime, maybe never. And we'll decide what's included in it. The inquiry is stacked. And I'm just giving you my opinion. All you have to do, though, is go and look at it. Transplant. And the appointed people subsequently named. Families, which I know, watch this. Clearly, so do media. Interesting. What was it? Very astute observation. Something like that I read. Yes. For another day. It was February 20th that was published. Anyway, the inquiry, which has not yet begun hearings, must deliver an interim report by May 2022. A final report 6 months later, the RCMP response to the killing spree will be a topic considered by the inquiry, along with lots of other things with political slant. Because let's divide people, get them confused. Sorry? No. Family members should appoint the commission themselves. They have legal representation. I think, frankly, they should sever these cases into separate cases. Multiple ones. You have lots of judges. Just giving you my layperson legal opinion. It's in my family. But anyway, sever. Multiple cases, multiple judges. But they should name the commissioners of their own inquiry. Because, well, frankly, they're the ones who are most grievously affected by this. Buy stocks. Yes, I think that would be a good one. Good one. Watchdog clears RCMP officers who shot at Nova Scotia Fire Hall during mass shootings. Elizabeth McMillan. Her stuff's getting edited too. I understand also editorial staff makes these decisions, but reporters also have responsibility. They can stand up and say, no, I'm not partaking in that. There are lots of other places people are going to now to get news. And people read a lot now. People had reasonable grounds. They did before, but the world has slowed down considerably. Despite people tearing it apart, had reasonable grounds to see bystander as a threat, report finds. That's a good picture. We'll get to that one. Nova Scotia police watchdog has cleared the 2 RCMP officers who shot at the fire hall in Nova Scotia during the hunt for an active gunman last April, saying Mounties had reasonable grounds to believe a man outside the hall, which was being used as a shelter, was a killer. Because that's where killers hang out, right? They just go to fire halls and hang out. Huh? These are no-brainers. 10-month investigation by the Serious Incident Response Team found 2 officers who drove up on ONSLOW Fire Belmont Brigade in an what? Do we still have the window with the corrections? I forgot. Let me just check that again. Clearly, all of the complaints being launched against you isn't having an effect. Phone calls that are being made. Something's going on here. Why do you want to say that? I think you guys should go, if you have an opportunity, go and upvote these people. Look at these numbers. CBC stuff, yeah, it's failing. Correction. Oh, sorry, this update clarifies our note from February 17th. 17th, then we got 22nd. We had one earlier. I believed it to be a Hyundai. This is done by the very same person who wrote this article. After multiple complaints, still writing it. All you have to do is wear a vest, pants, jacket. Come on, oh dear. This is getting ridiculous. That's reasonable grounds. Reasonable. If you think about some of the facts here, it's crazy. Had police yell, he had yelled police and show us hands, show your hands at a man who dressed in a safety vest, similar to be worn by the suspect they sought. The agency determined they opened fire because the civilian ducked behind a police cruiser and ran inside a hall. The investigation found that based on everything the officers had seen and heard since coming on duty and what they observed at the time, they had, again, has a very specific legal definition to it. Reasonable grounds to believe that the male was the killer and someone who would continue his killing rampage. I don't know. I'm just thinking that's probably the last place I'd want to hang out if I was a killer. Would be at a warming station for people like Mr. Ellison, who's already been thoroughly traumatized. I don't think as a criminal, I just would want to go and park my car as I'm the most wanted man in the world. Durr. People do it for free because they have good hearts. They don't need anything to believe. Look at all these people. Look at all of you in here. And you tell many people, and the message keeps growing. 107 of you right now. 107 in here. That's 107 ears, and it keeps going. To believe, SHiT director Felix Cashillon, a former judge, has some interesting cases. Said in a press release, they discharged their weapons in order to prevent further deaths or serious injuries. Well, I could rephrase that and say they discharged their weapons and nearly caused further deaths or serious injuries. That sounds more like the truth. The watchdog agency concluded no criminal offenses were committed and there were no grounds for criminal charges. That morning, April 19th, 2020, police in Nova Scotia were searching for a gunman traveling between communities, shooting strangers while disguised as an RCMP officer, wearing a real RCMP uniform, which he had multiple of, HRP uniform. He had a police badge, driving a police car, and what appears to be using an RCMP weapon. Now, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, could it possibly, just crazy me, could it possibly be a duck? I don't know. Maybe. I'm just throwing it out there. You can't definitively say, and definitely with an organization that speaks like this man, right? It may be worthy of entertaining different possibilities because they don't want to tell you anything. Even when ASERT, the Alberta Serious Incidents Response Team, which equally is comprised of police, and I would say maybe has a bias. You do need to have some understanding of policing to be in there, but this is a fraternity that we're dealing with. Do they get permission to arrest since you can't help people without them? Did the morning briefing on the 19th include, if you see this man, shoot him down, he may kill again? But yeah, we can't prove he's the killer, but shoot first and we'll word it later. Keystone Cowboys with musical clocks and fuzzy pictures and tapes that pop out of every hole. It would end up being the deadliest. This is why it's so serious. And this stuff gets more serious as we go along, right? 13 hours after it began nearby Portapique, 23 people were dead. And yes, the photos and the tweety twits for the twatters. And, you know, Ms. Fox made an excellent point. Better hope you don't say something wrong on the Twitter because you get banned. Where are you at then? Because they still continue to use it to this day, right? Where are you at? If you can't get informed, I guess smoke signals, I don't know. Braille, what are we going to be into? Signing with binoculars? But when shots rang out at a fire hall, the man responsible for those deaths wasn't there. 2 Mounties fired at a bystander. Oh, now bystander. Now it just, he just was walking down the street. Let's confuse him more. Let's call him a bystander and, I don't know, alien. How about just the EMO? Who was close to the hall, near a parked car in which another Mountie sat. So many people don't even use Twitter. Yeah. Twitter's got all kinds. It's a private organization. It likes to choose who will be on its platform. The hall had been opened as a safe gathering place for people who couldn't return home to Portapique. Well, because, maybe their son died. The RCMP and their community had been burned and devastated permanently. Yes, because it's difficult to do what he does. That is really hard. It's hard for Mr. Leather to do what he does. These people have to have consciences, some of them. Better start using it. God forbid this were ever to happen to you. Oh, don't think that you're not a white shirt, it can't turn on you, because it does. When the gunfire started, the fire chief, brigade chief, and deputy chief were inside with a man whose family member was killed the night before. At the same time, the two officers were firing. 10:21. Nova Scotia RCMP had tweeted that the gunman was currently in the central Onslow to Burt area. To the best of my knowledge, 10:21 is the correct time. It's just a clock that happens to be out. But two firefighters were inside the hall, looked to Twitter for information. You can't look to the RCMP. Funny, never can. Well, June 4th, I don't know. You know, we'll talk to you sometime, maybe ever. We'll give you a written statement for information and assumed that the actual gunman was firing in their direction. And assumed? Well, they were fired, but it wasn't Mr. Wardman that was firing at them. They didn't have to assume. They were fired upon. For an hour, they waited for more information, crouched behind tables inside the hall, terrified. Ouch. No one inside or outside the hall was hurt, thank God. But bullets peppered the hall's siding over a distance of several meters. The shots went through one of the big bay doors and punctured the fire truck's windshield, fender, and engine. Bumper. Shots also pierced the electronic welcome sign on the road more than 60 meters from where the cruiser was parked. Ooh, 60 meters. Remember that earlier number? 88 meters? And a granite monument near the building's entrance. No, I don't believe these were where the officers were in terms of the sign. How do you shoot the sign that is above and behind you? How does that happen? Maybe I've got it wrong. I remember posing these questions. Don't trust mainstream media. Absolutely. How do you do that? Any help? Poor finger discipline? That's some bad aim. That's some turning around doing shit I don't understand. Spin the bottle. The SHiT report does not identify two officers who fired their weapons. It says both of them have been called to work at 3 a.m. and drove together in an unmarked Nissan Altima. Yay! We have a vehicle. Something. Sharon can't figure out how the sign shot. Figure skating with C8. Yeah, I don't know. Don't even clear the hall, right? Don't even worry about that. Don't look at anything. Just open fire on it. Stay around for a few seconds. Don't ask anybody how you're doing and just leave. Then that's the best way to deal with things. Yeah, something wrong with the math. I'm not quite understanding. 23. Thank you. The SHiT report has determined that it's Nissan Altima. Fair enough. Let's just put Nissan Altima. Let's make everybody's life a little easier. Let's say 23, because if it were your child unborn, I'm sure you would ask possibly that it be counted. And if it were, do you know what? All of us here, all of these people, the people that you write for, would be backing you up because that's what you've asked for and that's what you deserve. Just my thinking. To a makeshift command center at the fire hall in Great Village. They were briefed on the situation and learned the RCMP believed 5 people had been killed by a heavily armed gunman in Portapique. Police later determined Gabriel Wortman had killed 13 of his neighbors and in the community that Saturday night. That hasn't been concluded. They've learned that this is a possible suspect. There has been no conclusion to this yet. I'm not saying Gabriel Wortman didn't participate. I'm not saying he didn't do it all. What I am saying is that is not something that has been finalized. They just learned from somebody that he was a potential suspect. In the morning, one of the Mounties spoke to Wortman's spouse, Lisa Banfield, who relayed that he was wearing an orange safety vest and driving a replica police cruiser. Later, after learning about the shots fired in Diebert, 2 women would be found dead in their vehicles. 2 Mounties headed toward ONSLOW searching for the gunman, according to the SHiT report. Diebert is midway between Glenholm and ONSLOW, which are about 14 kilometers apart. Timing and math, route, very important in all this. Using witness statements, Tweety lines, video footage that can be easily obtained. And frankly, if you can't get a hold of the videotape, then report on that. That's a good one. That's a good report. RCMP are denying us to get tape of a dead man. Strange. Why is that? It's not clear from the SHiT report, the SHiT report, if the 2 Mounties knew what the fire hall was being used for. Not clear. It's kind of fuzzy and hazy. Moving something. I won't use that word. However, the SHiT investigation reviewed all radio transmissions sent that morning. Wonder if they used certain tapes. It found that the fair was working on April 19th. There were 2,245 radio communications and only 2 relate to the fire hall in ONSLOW being used as a comfort center. The analysis found that neither mentioned that security would be present at the fire hall. As the Mounties approached from the west, they stopped in the middle of the road after seeing the cruiser parked outside, a man standing near the driver's door in a reflective vest. Driver's door. He, quote, was dressed for fashion similar to other accounts how the killer was dressed. Quote, they could not tell if the driver's side door was open or if anyone was in the car because they were 88 meters away and facing the passenger side of the vehicle, according to the report. Very interesting. I have to look at the video for that one. The SHiT investigation said the 2 Mounties had a radio in their vehicle and a portable radio, but ran into problems trying to communicate what they were seeing in the hall. The watchdog agency said that they yelled at the man outside the hall. He did not show his hand, but rather ducked behind the marked police car. Well, I don't know. You could say it was a replica police car, couldn't you? Hell! An unknown police car. An unknown car. They didn't know, right? Marked police car then popped up and ran toward the fire hall entrance. In response, one of the Mounties fired his rifle 4 times, the other fired once. The evidence established that the 2 Mounties had reasonable grounds to believe that the person they were firing on, who was disobeying their orders, was the mass murderer who had, in the preceding hour, killed 3 more persons. Preceding hour. Okay. Get your wallet out. Thanks for the photos, Sharon. Much appreciated. Was there more damage on the plus on the engine block? Was there not also? And on the side? I heard the Tonka truck got hit too, but I don't know. Firefighters frustrated and disappointed. Wow, that's an understatement. The ONSLOW Fire Brigade said SHiT findings have left them, quote, frustrated and disappointed that there will be no accountability for the RCMP. From the RCMP. They're the ones who have to be accountable. Definitely not my wallet on my underwear bag. Quote, their actions that day endangered lives, damaged property, and caused mental health issues for many people involved, the brigade said in a statement posted to their Facebook page. I believe this Facebook was deleted shortly thereafter. Is this it? No, this is a different one. Might be good to talk about that one too. Oh yes, here's the, by the way, here's the gray Hyundai mentioned. Let's just make sure we got the date right here. Oh, June 9th. That's one. Hyundai. We didn't get a gray here on this one, or a 4-door. But you had the identification of a car from an eyewitness. You are. And thank God for you and people like you. We are ever eternally grateful. And of course, to all the people who are willing to put in the time to do the investigation. Anyway, I can't seem to find it. Maybe somebody will link it to me. Sharon, how many bullets were fired at the trucks were sent to Nova Scotia? I heard Nova Scotia. Okay. I believe they were in the... Lisa said yellow. Yes, we're going to get to that. You're stealing my thunder. The Post went on to say the fire brigade will move past the horrific events that day and we will continue to be in an accountable, safe, professional manner with all our first responder partners and our community. How can you move past this stuff? Deputy Chief Darryl Curie, who was among those inside the hall during the shooting, said he and Chief Greg Muse would not comment further. They have to live, they have to work, they have to live in this community. Our police, they have to work with these people. $39,000 in damage. I'm not saying that I'm commenting on their behalf. I'm not. This is just my personal opinion, but it just goes to reason. Surveillance video from outside the hall shows the RCMP officers who were in the vehicle standing with his hands up around 10:21. One of the officers who had been shooting walked towards him with his long gun pointed at the ground. They appeared to exchange words, while the second officer did a loop around the building, and on foot they appeared to be on property for about 3 minutes. The officers seen in video. Yes, okay. Felix Cashillon said the officers fired their standard issue carbines, the Colt law enforcement carbines. Colt law enforcement carbines. Witnesses previously told CBC they counted dozens of holes around the building. Cashillon said investigators determined a bullet that struck the marble monument in front of the building created shrapnel that caused many punctures in the fire hall's vinyl siding. I think the fire truck was also the model fire truck. Is that correct, Sharon? The wooden Tonka, which I hear is back. Now it's in a different position. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, he said another shot hit the vinyl directly. 2 shots hit the bay door. One struck the electronic sign near the road too close to where officers stopped. In addition to analyzing images of shell casings on the scene, they examined the rifles. I wonder if they have, they needed Sharpies. We can't tell you anything about those. I thought I heard it got hit. Tonka wasn't outside? Oh, I thought Tonka was. Okay, my apologies. Thank you for the update. I just heard that possibly it was. This is why it's good to ask and find out. The weapons were seized, photographed, and tested, Cashillon wrote in an email to CBC News. I believe there were some other things seized, possibly a hat and a vest. The magazines were all full when the weapons were discharged. Oh, it's in the video. Huh? Okay. I thought it got damaged. I'd heard that, but the magazines, maybe it was. The magazines were all full. The weapons discharged. They were subsequently emptied. Remaining bullets counted, and that's how we know only 5 shots were fired. Come from the SHiT. Whose report we were going to get to here momentarily. I do appreciate your patience. You guys are awesome. It cost $39,000 to repair the siding, equipment, monument, and sign. The fire department previously confirmed to CBC that the RCMP picked up the bill. Well, no. You picked up the bill. I picked up the bill. They have an open buffet. They eat all they want. Just don't worry about it. Radio problems. In addition to looking at the mentions of the fire hall and the comfort center, SHiT examined the transcripts of the 7731 radio transcripts sent all over the Colchester East Hants and emergency response team radio channels during the 13-hour period the 911 call Port Pick. The agency's report contained an overwhelming volume of information. It found that 70% of the radio transmissions to officers who fired ONSLOW tried to make that morning, only 34 came across with audio. The other half were recorded as having no audio. Kind of remind me of this. Look familiar? Oh, sorry. Wrong case. Wrong investigation. The same type of problem. Yeah. Sorry. That would be a violation of the Moncton judgment. Not paying. I'm not paying for it. Pension funds. the two officers reported that they were bonged out. I love this one. Bonged out. It is actually a definition. It's defined. Bonged out. But I think it's very curious. It's almost like it has dual meaning. I think they were bonged out. Everybody who's involved in this is bonged out. Lay off the bong. Start with the investigating. When they tried to communicate on mobile radios in their vehicle, their portable radios they carried about what they were seeing, SHiT determined this happens when, quote, either the radio is in poor coverage area and cannot communicate with the radio tower, or the radio tower is at capacity and does not have an available talk path. A subsequent test of the site during the SHiT investigation determined poor coverage wasn't a problem in the area. The report concluded there were no available talk path during the heavy volume of radio traffic. SHiT's analysis also found that the RCMP officer who was stationed outside the fire hall, who tried to communicate 3 times in a span of 10 seconds while shots were being fired, found one of those messages was audible. One could only partly make out, and a third was inaudible. The union, that represents the RCMP officers, issued a statement calling the SHiT investigation thoughtful, fair, timely, and transparent. And, I mean, hell, they have no horse in the race at all. None. Totally unbiased. Sauvé and yes. Quote, this is extremely challenging and complex emergency response, particularly given the suspect was known to be wearing an RCMP uniform and driving a replica RCMP vehicle, which has not been determined, but fair enough. Let's go rush to judgments. Said the National Police Federation President Brian Sauvé. I thought they were all big on these investigations and shit. Can't we wait until the investigation is finished before we come up with the conclusion? Put down the bong. There we go. That's great. They never thought to use the cell phone. They weren't there long enough to use the cell phone. Quote, this means that our members needed to be hyper vigilant in order to stop a killer, as well as keeping the community and each other safe. If this was what keeping the community safe is all about, frankly, I don't want to live in that community. And honestly, if I was a RCMP officer, I wouldn't want to police in that community because people are going to kind of look at me like I could shoot at them. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. Hopefully. God willing. Never again. But if you have this kind of get out of jail free card, no problem. It most certainly is liable to. Because people will be like, well, don't worry. They look the other way. He said he looks forward to a thorough review of RCMP actions during the public inquiry. I'm sure Brian Sauvé does. I'm sure he really does. There you go. That would be a good. See all these interesting things you can ask for? Of course, they're going to tell you certain things, but Kendall knows all about this stuff. Now, let's go through the report. Really corrupt marijuana pushers. Okay. Now, let's go to the report. Maybe we should get a coffee. What do you think? I can see if I can get Steve back too. Steve, you want to hop in on this? Or Sharon? Either of you? Tell you what, let's take a 2-minute break. I don't have any interluding music. I wish I had some elevator music or something. And we'll revisit the report. Please don't tune out. Grab yourself a coffee, and I will resend the invitation to Steve if he wishes to join and give us his feel on things. Also, I would like it if we can get some other people's feel on things from the Discord. That would be fantastic. And we tried this before. It doesn't seem to work out the best, but as in, people don't seem to like to talk. I know you guys have. You have music? I have a video. Big Fun Garage. Somebody sent me a video. It's got a good tune in it. We could play that. What would you like? Would you like to watch that video? Big Fun. It will break things up. The video? Is that a yes on the video? This is not my video, so I'm not somebody made it. They want to lay claim to it? Go ahead. It's got a good song and some neat stuff in it, though. That is for certain. Frankly, I don't have the tolerance or time these days to make videos. So now, where is that? I will find it here. Oh, yeah. And Sharon, if you feel like hopping on, send me a text. How's that? Or I'll send you a text. Boy, which phone is that? They seem to go off. I like the ring on one of those. I usually hate phones, but where is it here? One moment. Okay, I found it. All right. Oh, there we go. How's it going? Hello?
Good. How are you?
Okay, good.
Can you
now
hear me?
You sent a text the wrong phone. Sharon, I don't take texts on those phones. Thanks. I'll send you a text. Now, I'm just going to put on the other video and grab coffee. Sorry, you popped in at the wrong time. I'm like, get out of here, man. I'm going to walk off. Have you seen this video yet?
I don't think so.
No? It's an interesting video. Anyway, I'll let it play. Not my video again. Mute your shit, man.
Is my shit not muted?
I'm moved, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed. Yo, listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue. Like him, inside and outside. Blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette. And everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around. Cause he ain't got nobody to listen. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die. Blue house with a blue window. Blue is the color of all that I wear. Blue are the streets and all the trees are too. I have a girlfriend and she is so blue. Blue are the people here that walk around. Blue like my Corvette, it's in and outside. Blue are the words I say and what I think. Blue are the feelings that live inside me. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die. Blue house with a blue window. Blue is the color of all that I wear. Blue are the streets and all the trees are too. I have a girlfriend and she is so blue. Blue are the people here that walk around. Blue like my Corvette, it's in and outside. Blue are the words I say and what I think. Blue are the feelings that live inside me. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die. I'm blue, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die.
Don't tell anyone.
A tattoo actually makes me think of a lot of things. But anyway.
Yeah.
You lodged
That was
a con-
amazing.
Oh, Moneypenny's going to get us banned. I'm still trying. I'm still waiting on that one video to upload. That was very good. Did the person who owns it lay claim to it? They did.
I could feel whose style it was.
Did you?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if they laid claim to it or not. I'm not commenting anything on it. I'll just leave it alone. But well, did you lay claim to it? I think they're in here. Oh, okay. Well, Sharon is snuggled up. Yay! I think she's been working hard so she can have a little snuggle. Now, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Still here. You know, making friends everywhere I go, don't you know?
Typical Seamus, yeah.
I'm not in this for anything just other than helping out friends. That's all. I don't care. Truth and yeah, good people. Good peeps. Got some good peeps, eh?
Yeah.
Still here.
Lots of good peeps.
That's always the way I answer the phone when people ask me how I'm doing. Still here. One of these days. It was great. Whoever made it. Looks like you got a lot of upvotes. What was the purpose of his video? He just kept repeating things over and over without any explanation. I like the fact that that's got another white car video. Lots of white car videos. They just, they're running around everywhere.
Yeah, white car bad.
They're flying all over those damn whitey cars. Those dammy dams. I don't know where I picked up that retarded saying. Dammy dams. I should have fixed this. I could cut this out and put the shit in there.
Oh, I think that will happen eventually.
Do you think so?
Oh, I think it's inevitable. I mean, that's the logo, right? Got to get the correct logo on there.
Yes. All right. Well, let's have a read through it. Summary of investigation. I hope. I wonder if is she having a beer? Are you having a beer, Sharon? Even though it's not really beer that you drink, it's water. Are you having a beer, Steve?
No, I am having a coffee.
You're having a coffee?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anybody who wants to make points, I will try. Maybe Steve can keep an eye out. We'll alternate. Do you want to do the alternating reading? People really like that. Eh?
Well, I'm only reading it off of the screen, so should I open this somewhere else?
Well, you can read it off the screen. It worked last time, right?
Yeah, well, last time I think I had it open as well.
Oh, well, whatever works best. Oh, you're having a Sprite. Well, that's almost the same thing. Weed the people.
I'll read it off the screen for now.
Milkshake. Okay. Summary of investigation. SHiT file 2020-017. RCMP April 19th, 2020. We're now almost a year in. It's very timely. Felix Cashun, director. February 26th. All right. Do you want to start us off, Steve?
Sure. Serious incident response team. SHiT was notified on April 19th, 2020 of an incident involving shots being fired by the two subject officers, Subject Officer 1 and SO2, which had occurred earlier that day at the ONSLOW fire hall. The two SOs fired shots in the direction of the affected parties, AP1 and AP2. So they fired at two people. Okay. AP1, a uniformed RCMP officer, was sitting in a marked police vehicle, and AP2, a civilian wearing a high visibility orange and yellow vest, was standing next to the police vehicle. The investigation of this shooting began that day and concluded on February 10th, 2021.
Okay, moving along. So high visibility yellow, orange, and yellow vest. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, just so I'm clear. The entirety of the following information obtained during the investigation was reviewed and considered in the preparation of this report. Statements and photographs of AP1 and AP2. Statements of 8 civilian witnesses, Halifax Regional Police, Forensic Identification Services, photographs, reports, statements of SO1, SO2, and all operational communication center, OCC, radio dispatches, critical incident command, CIC notes, ONSLOW fire hall, surveillance video, National Firearms Laboratory, NFL report, radio workshop, RW, and use of force expert. I'm not sure. Sharon, do you want to comment as to any kind of interviews that you obtained on this? I think there may be something to these civilian statements. Did they talk to? Yeah. Anyways, moving along. Sorry.
All right. I'll read the next section, but if I break up, just interrupt me because you were breaking up a lot for me. So hopefully everyone can hear me. Facts. Both SO1 and SO2, members of the RCMP General Investigation Section, GIS, were off duty when they were recalled to duty at 3 a.m. on April 19th, 2020, to assist with the investigation of several fatal shootings in Portapique. They traveled together in an unmarked Nissan Altima police vehicle driven by SO2 and equipped with a mobile police radio to a command post set up at the Great Village Fire Hall. SO2 also had a portable radio with them. At the command post, they were briefed on what was then known about the events which had occurred in the preceding 6 hours and assigned to assist with the investigation. It was unknown at this time if the killer was either still alive and at large or deceased, but whose remains had yet to be found. They learned that several children had witnessed their parents being shot dead and that a total of 5 persons were dead. Actual total number of victims was unknown at the time of briefing because several buildings in Portapique were on fire, and whether there were additional victims had not yet been determined. They were also informed of a man in his car being injured by the killer who had driven up beside the man's vehicle and shot at him with what appeared to be a laser sighting firearm.
Laser sighting firearm. 5 persons. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Okay. They must have found somebody. Lasers. You got to have those lasers. You got to scare the piss out of everybody. Here we go. Yes, I was interviewed once. It changed hand. The new investigator did not want to interview me. Aw, I like talking to Sharon on the phone. She's really nice. She's good times. She kicks my ass. But okay, I'm gonna learn how to smoke a pipe one day. Sharon doesn't smoke a pipe, but I'm learning. Later that morning, SO1 and SO2 learned through a statement given by SO1 by the killer's intimate partner that the killer was wearing an orange vest, driving a fully marked replica RCMP vehicle, and was heavily armed with 2 laser-sighted pistols and several rifles described as, quote, guns like the military people have, the ones that are like 32 rounds. Does this have anything to do with, where did Steve go? We lost Steve? Oh, no. You got the invite, right? So, come on, man. Don't make me read this all alone. You have to introduce constantly the gun stuff. It really has nothing. Cigars, I love cigars. I do smoke cigars. Oops. Steve bonged out. Steve bonged out. That's good. That's good. I could tell that Steve's going to be laughing. Yeah, I can't hear anything. I'll try again. Okay. But yeah, the constant introduction of this, it doesn't have anything to do with what happened at the fire hall. Really? Lasers, 32 rounds, zero to do with it. Zero. Apples and oranges, but it's psychological. Approximately 2 hours after receiving this information, and many more hours after no further reports of any killings, a radio transmission advised all members that a woman walking on the side of the road in Wentworth had either been shot or struck by a vehicle and killed. I guess they didn't figure that one out. The SOs then transitioned from investigators, and let's see here. There's also something kind of to note, many hours after, to approximately. So they're not trying to give you any times here, hints on times of anything. Do you notice that? Approximately 2 hours, many more hours, a transmission was received, so maybe 5-ish. How does that work? If it was 5 o'clock, what was it, 8:30? 8:30? See how they're being fuzzy with times. This is what they do, because it doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. Oh, here's Steve. Are you back? Oh, shit. Here we go. Are you back?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit better now.
Well, you better.
I'm trying, man.
Yeah. All right. I'll finish this out, and then you get the next one. The SOs then transitioned from investigators to being actively involved in the hunt for the killer. The transmission also indicated that a marked RCMP cruiser was seen driving away from the scene. A few minutes later, another radio transmission notified, why do we not have a time? Notified all officers of a structure fire in Wentworth in the vicinity of where the woman was killed. Pardon? In the vicinity of where the woman was killed. Okay, so that is Sean and Alana's house. And we have mention of Lillian. I don't know. Vicinity? It's a bit of a misnomer, I think. While en route to the scene of that shooting, SO1 and SO2, I guess now they know, en route to the scene of that shooting, anyway, it's a fire. SO1 and SO2 learned from another officer that the driver of the marked police vehicle was seen driving away from Wentworth was wearing a reflective vest. So we've gone orange. Now we're down to reflective. Carry on, Steve.
God, I would hate to have been wearing anything reflective that day. Shortly thereafter, another radio transmission advised all members that the killer was now at a residence on Highway 4 in Glenholm. SO1 and SO2, together with other officers, including members of the emergency response team, went to that residence. However, by the time they arrived, the killer was no longer there. A short time after leaving that location, SO1 and SO2 heard further dispatches advising that 2 more persons had been shot dead in their vehicles on Plains Road in DeBert. They knew at this point that the serial killer had murdered 3 more persons in the space of less than 30 minutes. SO1 and SO2 traveled from Wentworth to DeBert. SO1 was familiar with the area where these killings occurred. They did not attend the scene of the latest shootings, but rather began searching the area for the killer. Their search eventually led them to traveling in the direction of Onslow.
Okay, we got short time shortly thereafter. Do you see how this works? I know you do.
Oh, yes.
It's just other people. We got 3. Anybody who might not pick up on that. It's not just things to note. 3 more persons in the space of less than 30 minutes.
I think they call this running cover.
3 more persons. I don't know where they're. Does anybody understand what they're speaking of? 3 more persons?
They were probably just following tweets.
Two people had been shot. They knew that at this point the serial killer had murdered 3 persons. Oh, okay, sorry. So they're referring to. They're going back and forth. Like this is not chronological. This is not written well. As they were approaching the Onslow Fire Hall, they saw a marked RCMP vehicle parked in front of the fire hall facing the road. AP2 was wearing a yellow and orange reflective vest, standing by the driver's door of a marked RCMP vehicle. AP2 was dressed in a fashion similar to other accounts of how the killer was dressed, which kind of varies. What kind of vest is he wearing? Why is he wearing? Question. Why is he wearing a vest at night?
Maybe he's got a part-time job.
She knew that he was driving. Yes. We're going to get there. Sharon. Stealing thunders. You're awesome, though. We all owe you a massive debt of gratitude. Why would somebody wear? So if Lisa's saying, "Oh, he was wearing a yellow vest in the middle of the night," that's when she saw him. So he's running around pitch dark in a yellow vest. I haven't seen any mention of that. Maybe I missed it in the warrants, but it's interesting.
Well, it could have been Sharpied out.
Well, we had this comment, which I think is important to note. The yellow, this orange, yellow, migrating colors, colorblind stuff that they're doing over here. 21.19, Gabriel Wortman has Sharpie in the RCMP and had one of his uniforms, but didn't fit Gabriel. He had a fluorescent yellow jacket and would put it in the front seat of the car to make it look like he was a police officer. Again, where are we at? Also, okay, so AP2 was dressed in the fashion of how the killer was dressed. They could not tell if the driver's door was open or if anyone was in the car because they were over 88 meters away and facing the passenger side of that vehicle. Now, one moment, please.
I sure hope somebody out there has like a really long tape measure.
A tape measure?
Yeah. It'd be fun to measure from those garbage cans to the fire hall.
Let's go to the tape. The tapes. You know, I like those tapes. Okay. Now, there we go. 88 meters away, meaning they're really far. Look at what you can see from this point. Obviously, the camera is a little bit blurrier, but the person barely makes it over the vehicle. First of all, Mr. Wortman is a hell of a lot taller, and you can't tell what kind of vest they're wearing.
Does that look like a white truck in the background?
No, it looks like a Dodge. Some kind of Dodge gray. Oh, it's not a Dodge. It's a Chevy, I think. Because it's 88 meters away, you know. But how would they be able to tell what kind of vest he's wearing? It's got to be him, and there's no push bar on the vehicle because the vehicle is backed into the garage or backed into the bay of the fire hall, which by this point they already knew, right? If we
Wouldn't they also verify the numbers on the police car? Because, I mean, the numbers on the police car are on the side where they pull up.
I don't know. Maybe they're looking for anything, everything. Who knows? Push bar. They know it has a push bar. No push bar. Chev? Okay, fine. It's a Chev. So what's going on there? How could they don't know what he's wearing. They know the car is probably wrong. He doesn't reach over the car. Wortman is what, 6'3"? This individual, I believe, is 5'8", 5'9". Anyways,
it's a couple inches. It's not a big deal, right? A couple inches.
It's only 5 inches, half a foot. You can't tell at 88 meters.
No.
No.
SO2, who was driving the vehicle, stopped in the middle of the road and tried several times to advise other officers of what they were seeing by using the mobile radio in the vehicle. SO2 could not get through because the radio bonged. That's what I do every night. Both SO1 and SO2 got out of their vehicle with their rifles. SO2 tried again to advise other officers of what they were seeing, this time by using a portable radio, but still could not get through because, again, the radio bonged. SO1 yelled to AP2, "Police! And show your hands!" AP2 did not show his hands, but rather...
Uh-oh. You're bonging out.
Towards
You're bonging out.
The
bonging. Okay. You get it together over there. I'll continue on. The APT AP2 did not show his hands, but rather ducked behind the marked police car, then popped up and ran towards the fire hall entrance. The SO2s fired their weapons. So again, they haven't checked their facts at all. And eyesight. Did they get out of the vehicle? They got out of their vehicle and then tried to radio? Interesting. But the photo shows someone with their hands in the air. I can see how one might miss apprehending part. Only the station officer personnel could say. Then popped up and ran towards the fire hall entrance. The SOs fired their weapons. SO1 fired 4 shots, and SO2 fired 4 shots. SO2 fired 1. Neither AP2, who had run into the fire hall, nor AP1, who, unbeknownst to the SOs, was sitting in the police vehicle where it was struck by shots. Neither of them were struck by shots, right? So now this gets into some interesting things. I don't know. Oh, Steve is here. Okay, are you back?
I'm back. I don't know how long I'll be here, but I'm back.
Are you done bonging out?
No,
you can't have any.
Fucking Wi-Fi just bongs me out whenever it feels like it.
They did not have time to do all that. This is almost kind of like the down in Portapique when they said that that all was done in 34 minutes. Didn't have time. You can't do these things. They defy possibility. They're surely impossible. Anyways, very good point. How come dumbass 1 and dumbass 2 didn't what? Radio or call in potential hostage situation equals hostage situation, hold and secure, wait for ETF and backup. Good point. But the bongings,
these are freaking, they're cowboys, man.
The bongings. Yes, Kendall. And the bongings is important because I think I was talking to Sharon and I said, I think this next stuff, the bonging parts, funnily enough, has to do with Morrison. Because he's using his, and it doesn't record. Oh, I didn't know if it worked or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this you or me? I'm sorry, I forget.
You took over where I got kicked out, so I guess I can keep going.
Okay.
There were 7,731 radio transmissions made over the Colchester, East Hants, and Emergency Response Team radio channels from 10:04 p.m. April 18th, 2020, when the police were first called in relation to a shooting in Portapique, till to 11:23. There's a thing on my screen, so I can't see what that says. April 19th, when the worst mass murderer in Canadian history was shot dead. Of these, the vast majority, 5,670, were made over the Colchester radio channel, and of those, 2,245 were made from the time the SOs were recalled to duty until the time they fired their weapons at 10:21 a.m. An overwhelming volume of information was contained in these radio transmissions that somehow somebody got a hold of.
Okay, so questions I have about this are the Colchester East Hants and Emergency Response Team radio channels. Are they referring to RCMP channels? What are they talking about? Are they lumping everything in all as one? RCMP have multiple channels Okay, so it's not like they have one channel. They have tons. Now, if you do some math, it works out to be some interesting things. So 7,731 total calls. I don't even know if that has to do with sheerly RCMP. Picto wasn't mentioned. Bang. There you go. There you go. You got it. You got it. But are they lumping in other stuff here? They want to run far and wide from the Picto. Trust me. The Picto is going to blow up. They know that, and they have to steer way away from that one. The 7,000, but they're going to have some explaining to do. Yes, somehow it got on there. 7,731 radio transmissions were done from 10:01 until 11:25, right? Okay, so then that's the total calls. Vast majority, 5,670, were made over the Colchester. Okay, that's nothing burger. 2,245 were made at the time they were recalled until the time they fired their weapons. So they came on at 3 a.m. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. 3 a.m.
Must be a shift change. I lost 9 viewers. Did I upset somebody? Okay, so 3 a.m. So that's a period of 7 hours. Let's say 7 1/3 hours. So I did some math and I worked that out, and it was during the preceding time, there were, we can do it on a calculator, but you can all do it on it. There were 685 calls before the officer came on duty per hour on average. 685. Again, are they using, are they putting fire and all this other stuff in there, which is totally unrelated? Who knows? I think they are. I don't think they're saying, and they don't use the word RCMP. So the encrypted radios. But if we do the math, what they're saying is that there's 680, did I say? 685 calls on average from 10 o'clock roughly until 3 a.m. From the period that these officers started until 10:21, there was an average of 307 calls. So half as many calls, more than. So less calls, less busy, not having a lot going on like before. But they're going to have bonging out issues. Bong. Okay. Continue on, Steve.
All mobile and portable radio transmissions are recorded. Failed attempts to get airtime are not recorded. Portable radios are equipped with an emergency request to talk button, otherwise known as a 1033. If the 1033 button is activated, the request to talk is recorded. When an officer attempts to talk and they are bonged out, that is sometimes picked up by the radio logger as a track with no audio. Bonging out or being bonged out can mean one of two things. Either the radio is in a poor coverage area and cannot communicate with the radio tower, or the radio tower is at capacity and does not have an available talk path.
Okay, so again, what's going on here? I think they have lots of empty available path. In my, I'm just looking at the math, but I wouldn't know, because there should not be tons and tons of calls going out like there was down in Portapique. They didn't have bonging out issues before, and like Sharon points out, they will have bonging outs. No bonging out really until they get to the fire hall, and then just around the fire hall, and then everything is okay again.
I wonder if they're busy and preoccupied creating calls. Would that create a bonging out issue?
That's tinfoil, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are you doing? Don't be doing that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's stay away from that. They don't. Listen, this is all on the up and up, right? Of course.
Of course.
Of course. Transcript showing the content of each radio transmission was prepared. The transcriptions contain all the distinct spoken words and a notation of inaudible, where some words were unclear or inaudible. A radio transmission where there were no words spoken or the radio was used did not have an available talk path with was transcribed as no audio. That would be curious to see. I think it's like Sharpies and things. I don't know if you're on the phone, so I'll continue on. SO1 and SO2 made a total of 70 radio transmission, all on the Colchester radio channel. Is that the Colchester encrypted RCMP channel? Who knows? They're not really specifying, are they? From the time of their first transmission at 5:11 till 10:21, but they started at 3. Is that correct? So what's going on? Oh, wait, sorry. No, that's right. Did they start at 3? When they fired their weapons. 34 of these transmissions were recorded and transcribed, all distinct words showing and a notation where some words were unclear or completely inaudible. 36 of these transmissions were recorded and transcribed as having no audio. So they had 70 radio transmissions, and 36 of them just didn't work. 3 a.m. they started. So why is it that they're saying here 5:11? Do you know what I'm saying? Something's going on. I guess they just were doing something for 2 hours and 11 minutes. Recalled to duty. Didn't use radio. Okay, well, you can still do the math, and it's still going to work out to be less. Less calls per hour. But half of the calls also not even working. But they're bonging out and all this nonsense. Okay. You back?
I am back, yes.
Okay. Start us off, please.
Where am I starting at? AP1?
Please.
Okay. AP1 made 6 radio transmissions from 7:56 a.m. to 10:21 a.m. That strikes me as odd. But anyways, 4 of these were recorded and transcribed with all the distinct words shown and a notation of inaudible where some words were unclear or completely inaudible. 2 were recorded as having no audio. 3 of the 6 radio transmissions were made in a span of 10 seconds at the time of the shots being fired. 1 of these was completely audible, 1 was partly audible, and the other had no audio.
Partly inaudible.
Inaudible.
Right? Partly
yes.
inaudible.
Is that what I said? Or I said audible?
You said partly audible.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Come on, man. Yeah, well, I need fixing all the time, so.
You should see how small the font is that I'm reading right now, but it looks good on YouTube, so don't worry about adjusting it for me.
Are you on your phone or something?
Yeah, of course. That's why it's CERT.
Yeah, 44. Okay, interesting. All right. 306. See, they're just bogging you down with numbers. It's just salad. Read through the stew.
I do have one question about what I read there, though.
Yes, shoot.
If they came on at 3 in the morning, why is their first transmission at 8?
I don't know. Good question.
Like, wouldn't they have checked in for like 5 hours prior? They didn't check in at all?
I don't know. They didn't sign on or what have you. What am I looking for here in general chat?
Well, maybe somebody actually went and measured that it's 44 meters.
You want to copy and paste it and put it in a box. The image. Are we on to a different topic? Are you trying to get me off into a different topic? Oh. Ah. Pretty good at doing math here. Okay, from the garbage bins and ditch, he's actually gone a bit further from in the middle of the road to the front door. 44 meters. Wow. What did they say
This
it was?
is turning into snipers in the grassy knoll.
88? Really bad math. I'm wondering how much investigating they actually did. Yeah, Felix and the shit bonged out. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they're going to place people like this at risk for their nonsense. Okay.
I have to log out here and get going, but I will try and pay attention on my way home.
All right. Drive
Cheers,
safe.
everyone.
Are you going to get
bro.
cheeseburgers with chicken
not
sauce?
Today. No, not today. I want to live.
Okay. Right. It's just glorified attempt at mayo. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. Every now and then I like to attempt to eat food that's not real.
Don't talk about that stuff in here, Todd, because then I get a warning. There's warnings coming on. Bruno says goodbye. Goodbye, Steve. You got to bong out.
Cheers,
bong
everyone. I'm going to go bong out.
All right.
I'll talk to you in a bit, bro.
Okay. Good job. Great observation. Sad. That was awesome. 306 of all 2,245 radio transmissions of what they comprise of, who knows, made from the time of the SOs were recalled to duty until the time they fired their weapons were recorded as having no audio. This is in, Moncton was supposed to take care of this stuff. Moncton was supposed to take care of this. 2016. 2014, they agreed to, I got a message. Okay, 2014, they were supposed to, they did all, at least 2 counties, I believe, in Nova Scotia. And by 2016, they had said, everything is done. Certainly doesn't look like it. Now they want to say they're smoking bongs. What's this? Maritime Public Safety Radio Network. Oh, yes, I was looking at this earlier. Now, I couldn't ever figure out what can you help explain that? Maybe you want to help explain it. I'll pull it up when you want to, or do you want to? I'll call you and you can help explain it. Something, I don't know, whatever. Let's go back. They have a lot of channels. I think this is what she's trying to point out. Radio coverage tests using mobile and portable radios used by AP1 and SO2 on April 19th, 2020 were conducted in the general vicinity of the Onslow Fire Hall, where AP1 and SO2 were when they made their radio transmissions. Okay, so they're saying the person who's doing firing and the person being fired upon are making radio transmissions, or they're insinuating at least that the person who's being fired upon made radio transmissions, but I don't believe they mention anything about that. Now, the tests were determined, the mobile radio strength, RSSI, signal strength indicator in that area, the strength of the reading of 60 or more is indicative of strong radio coverage, and a reading of over 100 denotes very strong coverage, as in, quote, an excellent quality signal. The radio coverage tests of AP1's mobile and portable radios shows the RSSI readings of 142 and 87, respectively. RSSI of SO2's mobile and portable radios show readings of 126 and 110, respectively. Wow. So we have, at bare minimum, we have very strong radio coverage 3/4 of the time, and the rest of the time, excellent quality signal. But of course, this is a fire hall. I'm wondering if they probably piggyback maybe off the transmission towers. Wouldn't be very good if the fire hall didn't have good transmission towers, would it? So I think the signal strength is probably pretty good. Let's see here. No, I just knew the site, didn't know anything about the codes or frequencies. I plugged through it a little bit. They have some kind of weird graphs and things. They don't really want to tell you a lot of stuff, but they have a lot of channels. Come on. It's our money after all. They, it's an open buffet. Bingo, no issues showing here. Okay, they have a tower over there. Well, I would presume that the fire hall probably would have a tower, and would they not use the same tower, transmission tower? I don't know. Anyways, irrespective, the signal is awesome. The radio airwaves are not terribly busy as they were, and of course that goes by using logic. In the evening prior, there was a lot of activity, I would assume, and there was a flurry of activity early in the morning, and at this point in time there is less activity because there's not something going on directly at that time, right? So this is a very poor excuse to use. If one channel was too much traffic, they use multiple channels. Why not just check a different channel? Listen, I'm not going to buy their garbage. It's just pure bunk. If they can't measure from a fire hall to it. They can't talk to the witnesses. Who is the SHiT? We already went through who the SHiT is, which is predominantly all RCMP and police. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about Felix for a while yet, but there's some interesting things with Felix. So, anyway, the tests to establish the radios by AP1 and SO2s at the Onslow Fire Hall were not in a poor coverage area. Well, yes, of course not. The sole reason why SO2 was unable to transmit what they were seeing is because there were no available talk paths due to the heavy volume of traffic. Just use logic. What's going on at that time? They are trying to find this man. Yes, absolutely. Are they responding to calls? We get some radio stuff to do with 911 calls and things like that. But I think we can all kind of agree, right? The bulk of the calls is going to come in the evening prior, right? And they're really running from that Picto stuff. Ouch. The fact that the Onslow Fire Hall was being used as a comfort center was referenced only twice in the 2,245 radio transmission made by the SO, recalled for duty to the time that they fired their weapons. Both references were brief transmissions broadcast a little more than an hour before the three murders in Wentworth and DeBert. Neither mentioned that security would be present at the fire hall. Well, what difference does that make? Do you open fire on it because they didn't say that this was a comfort hall? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't have anything to do with the price of tea in China. I'm thinking he would have told, say what they told him to say. Who's that? Ah, okay. Okay. Interesting stuff going on there. But they just took a statement. So, you know, they're not doing any kind of investigation. This is clear. This is very clear from this report, right? So this organization should be abolished and something new, and the people fired within it. Because if they're not going to take their job seriously, and obviously, you know, they're fine talking about the worst mass murder in Canadian history, then take it pretty seriously, because it is the most serious. And we don't want a repeat of any of this ever again. The fact that the Onslow Fire Hall was, relevant legal issues. Did the subject officers use their firearms in a careless manner? Careless use of firearm involves conduct that shows marked departure from the standard of care that reasonably prudent person would exercise in the same circumstances. Using a firearm in a careless manner is only a criminal offense if the person who uses the firearm in that way has no unlawful excuse for doing so. A lawful excuse for the law that the law recognizes and for which it provides. Conduct is excused not because the law approves of it, but because the law does not treat it in the circumstances of as a crime. I mean, shooting a sign behind you, above you, seems rather careless. They don't have control of their weapon. Oh, that, you see, like, look at that kind of comment, right? And there are other witnesses. So, you know, perhaps we may get to speak to them in the future, maybe not. I don't know. But thank God that people do speak up, because this helps all of us find the answers to this stuff. Did the subject officers have lawful excuse for discharging their firearms? Section 25 of the Criminal Code of Canada deals with the protection of persons acting under authority. This is the, we can't, it's 88 meters. That's how many viewers we have now. It also allows for a peace officer, this is the protection, acting on reasonable grounds to use as much force as necessary to enforce or administer the law. As it allows for a peace officer to use the force that is intended to cause death or grievous bodily, if the peace officer believes on reasonable grounds that the force is necessary for the purpose of protecting the peace officer or any other person from imminent or future death or grievous bodily harm. Yeah, they seem to be missing a word here. Death and grievous bodily harm So I'm not sure. I know they had months and months to draft this, but there seems to be some English errors in the actual writing of this, which frankly I think is indicative of possibly their investigative prowess, but I could be wrong. But it does not give them the right to open fire just because what did they see? They saw a man. So they opened fire on him because he had a car. What about any other RCMP officer that day who happened to be in the line of these other two officers? You know, they were all at risk from their own officers, or the EMO was at risk just because he was there. What did he do? Could they even see him? No. So they saw an RCMP car and a man, the like shadow of a man from afar, and opened fire on. And opened fire on an RCMP car, which didn't have a push bumper, was backed in with pylons all around it. I don't think the worst mass murder in Canadian history is going to put pylons out and sit in front of a fire hall. Right? Would you go do that? Why was there no officer use of that force in Portapique? Yeah. Okay, moving on. I hope I covered, Sharon had a point on that, so I hope I covered that sufficiently, but I'm sure she will help correct me on that, thankfully. Conclusion. Purpose of the SHiT investigation is to determine whether the actions of the SOs, given these facts, justifies criminal charges against the SOs. Okay, that's a copy paste that they put in for all of them. At the time of the incident which led to this investigation, the SOs were on the trail of a killer who had randomly murdered at least 8 persons and set fire to multiple buildings in the preceding 12 hours. 3 of those murders occurred in the 30 minutes before they discharged their firearms. I'm still... I don't... This one is a bit of an oddity to me. The SOs were aware that the person they were searching for was a ruthless and heavily armed killer who had recently resumed a killing rampage that had begun the previous night and appeared intent on continuing. They knew it. They knew because of the statement made by the killer's intimate partner that he was wearing an orange vest. Now we're down to orange. I believe she speaks of the yellow jacket too, so I could be wrong, but we don't have any, mention. Where did I go here? Something I've done. Oh no. Oh no. Right, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't I? But these orange and yellow vests are, you're talking about little patches. Do we have that in the video? And certainly what we saw down in, and she knew that, of course, because he was wearing a, where is it here? Oh, this video doesn't have it, I don't think. Doesn't it have it? It's weird they cut that part out where he's running in the door. Did they? No, here we go. Okay, there we get some shot of the vest. Right? I'm going to go through the video a little bit more after we're done. They also knew from the recent dispatch of another officer that the killer in the first of the most recent 3 killings was seen driving away from the scene of a murder in a fully marked RCMP vehicle and wearing a reflective vest. You see how this moves all over the place? As they near the Onslow, what reflective vest in what way? All they have to do is go and ask. Did they say on the radio, quote, reflective vest? Or did they say yellow vest? Orange vest? What kind of vest did they say? And irrespective of that, we're talking about a distance. You can't tell. Why are the faces blurred in the video? Well, because they're protecting people who aren't being charged. England is winding down. We will be out of lockdown in April. Yay! These guys are not showing their weapons, but were standing and talking amongst themselves. They were not a threat to anyone. Yeah. Were they not holstered? As they neared Onslow Fire Hall, they saw AP2, a man wearing a yellow and orange reflective vest, standing by the driver's door. So on the opposite side of a vehicle, he's 5'8" to 5'9". He's half a foot shorter than Mr. Wortman. You can't really see what he is wearing, even if you were in good eyesight of him. You can't tell what kind of vest he's wearing. And there's an RCMP cruiser with pylons sitting around it. So they decide to just pull over and open fire on it. Does that make sense? There apparently is a witness to, with no push bar. Like, there's nothing here that indicates, zero that indicates that this is somebody that you should be opening fire on. Let's put away that they didn't know it was a comfort center. Fine. Let's put that one to bed. Fair. Let's use some logic here. Pylons? He's going to stop, put pylons around his car, no push bar on the car. You know, suddenly that disappeared. You knew what this was. His height suddenly decreased by half a foot. He gained a little bit of weight. Come on. You can't see. No, you just open fire on him. Vehicle parked in front of the fire hall. Attempts made by SO2 using both mobile and portable radios to notify other officers of what SO1 and SO2 were seeing were unsuccessful that day due to the heavy volume of radio traffic. Again, this defies logic and mathematically is proven given the numbers that they have. And they're not even specific about what channels. When SO1 identified themselves as police and ordered AP2 to show his hands, AP2 did not do as ordered, but instead ducked behind a police vehicle and then popped up before returning into the fire hall. Well, at this point, was he not being shot at? And he did have his hands up, right? Where is it? Oh, I see. Sorry. He ran in the fire hall. Okay, fair enough. But why is he running in the fire hall? Do you think, was it possible that he was getting shot at? Or was he just afraid? This isn't adding up. I think he was being shot at already, so that's why he's running. Well, because they're one and the same. They're one and the same. They told him to get down. Found this out today. He was totally being shot at. I think there's no reason for him to run. Is there? Unless weapons were already being discharged? I'm just spitballing here, but based on everything SO1 and SO2 had seen and heard since the coming on duty and what they had observed, they had reasonable grounds to believe that AP2 was the killer and someone would continue his killing rampage. They discharged their weapons in order to prevent further deaths or serious injuries. Or perhaps maybe their actions could have caused some of that. He's in distress. I mean, you have a police officer who is beside you in the car, right? They say he's in the car. So again, there's another interesting point. They say that he's in the car, which I guess now I'll start to dissect the video a little bit more because the video to me seems rather interesting. So if we look at the times, 10:31:36, watch the times. Okay, we change angles. We've got 2 seconds added. 39 we were doing, 31:39. $31:54. Somehow we lost 15 seconds there. What happened in those 15 seconds would be curious. Now we're zoomed ahead. Now we're at 33:07. Right? There's problems with the time. Pieces are clipped from this video. And, oh. I don't know, something happened there. Oh, see, there you go again. Why? This is a tape. You don't need to edit anything out. It's not as though this is taking up newscasting time. It's on the internet. No, we're missing pieces. 23. Okay, this is why it's important to pay attention to things and watch. Have things been fixed or doctored or whatever? 33:32. So then we get into this business of the fact that he just walks around the building. He doesn't check anything. He's not doing anything. Reasonable grounds? What reasonable grounds? He's not carrying his gun in a prone position, by the way, which is one-handed. Really? 34:40. So, but Look carefully at this video, and I think you're going to see things in here. 31, 30, 31, 36, 37, 38, 39. Tink. This is why they want to stick that other little piece in there, because pieces are missing. It takes you away, your eyes away. You're just like, oh, okay, that's just a switch of the camera angle. No. No. No, 31:55, 31:39. 16 seconds. What's going on? What happened in those 16 seconds? Why is more time elapsing? 31:54, what were we at? 31:55. Now we'll zoom back out. Now we lost another 2 minutes. Almost. What happened in those 2 minutes? You guys have any thoughts on that? I don't have the link to the video. Perhaps somebody wants to drop it in there. I just have it downloaded. I did. Oh, maybe I did somewhere. Did I? Give me one more. I suggest go download it. Have a little boo. There we go. Copy. Paste. Perhaps. There has to be more than 5 rounds being fired. By the look of it. And were they firing on auto? Maybe Sharon can help with that. Were they firing, was it like tick, 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 like semi-auto? Or was it automatic fire? Which could be confusing too. All points to RCMP being no good. Yes, but why would the media want to, unless they were furnished with a tape that was missing pieces? I don't think so. Funnily enough, I think they were given 2 tapes, 2 angles, and they've decided to clip little portions out of it. 16 seconds, minute and a half. Some pretty serious stuff might have happened. It was all bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Semi-auto? Oh, very quick. So could it have been automatic fire? Because it's automatic fire, sometimes that, it's harder to count, but those guns are capable of that, right? A few inches to the right, the officer would have been putting rounds into the neighbor's house. Vehicles, careless use. Yes, absolutely. There's lawsuits all over the place here. Pension funds, separate cases, pension funds. Just saying. I don't know guns. You know truth. Again, our trusted media. Yeah, right. And it could be. I'm not saying that it's there for sure, but this is off of a right. You don't need to have room for your commercial breaks and SHiT. You don't need to clip it down. This is off of a website. You can have the whole thing in there and just show it to everybody, and then, everybody's fine. You want to play silly buggers, like changing perspectives on Clinton's video so that when pointed out, watch in the background, you can see that a person will disappear, and that means that the video has been clipped if you're not attuned to it as quickly. You know, you're not watching for it. I watch for these things, so it's easier for me to figure out. But if you're, you know, not as, I don't know how to say that without, I'm not trying to sound insulting, but if it's just something you haven't watched a lot for edits, which happen quite frequently, you can watch things in the background, and if they don't match up, then you can tell. So when I pointed that out on Clinton Ellison 2.0, the second video, that was the 1 minute deletion CBC, what they did is they changed the perspective of the video. So they clipped it so like it was being filmed with an iPhone. So you couldn't see the background. They clipped out the sides. I literally have that on my computer. 3 different versions of that tape. Why? Again, not clipped for radio or commercial breaks. Here's Clinton Ellison. Yeah, here, I'll show you. Say Clinton Ellison 2.0. This is the clipped version. I don't know why it's...
Yeah, it was about 10 o'clock. They went upstairs
Technical difficulties. This is like the recorder, right?
We heard a single gun.
But if you go forward, you'll see that there is a lady in the background, and I was pointing that out right at the beginning, right? Oh, now we get the stutter fart.
Bad.
It just
I was just allowed to come down today to get my vehicle finally.
There, that's the Saturday night.
Come on, CBC has poor gear.
Entirely.
Went to the armored personnel carrier come get me. Yeah.
What did they say?
They said that there was a gun on the loose. Yeah, a gunman on the loose.
And I'm not doing anything. This is the actual video. You can go and still find
I
this.
finally got out of the whole ordeal at 4 a.m. and started
I didn't
around
screw with this.
10:30.
Oh, they clipped out tons of what he was saying.
Nothing. Basically
Okay,
nothing.
now you see,
Nothing.
watch the background. Oh yeah, by the way, look at all the water. His car in Millbrook. The times don't work. Where is it? The lady in the background, I think. Is it her? Yep, there you go. See? Watch.
I was watching the news earlier. It really made me sick to my stomach. That
Watch
they didn't
this
put the
lady
emergency
in the
alert
background
out. If
in
the
the blue
police
car.
hadn't put the emergency alert out, I would have got it on my phone hiding in the woods, and I would have known what was going on. And it could have saved some
Right
more
here.
lives.
Watch.
Any of the
See?
other victims?
I knew a few of the other victims.
Where did the blue car go? Where did the lady go? Suddenly just vanished.
What was
That's a
going
clip.
on, and it could have saved some more lives.
Did you know any of the?
Okay. So then if you take another video, don't call me tinfoily. Another version of it, which I showed in earlier videos, you could actually go back and find it. Because they probably fixed that by now. They like to fix things as they go. Okay. So I pointed it out about watching for the backgrounds, and look what they did. This is okay. So I did show it, the actual article. I have a big file of edits that they've done throughout this whole thing. It's crazy. September 21st, 2020. Clinton, this happened back in April, right? Now this video is 7 minutes, 5 seconds long. It started out at 9 minutes, 16 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, it was about 10 o'clock.
That's
They went
what it
upstairs
is.
to go to bed. Me and my brother were upstairs
Do
listening to
you
music,
see
talking.
what
We heard a single
happened?
gun-
Do you see what they did? That's not me messing with it. That's
Shot, didn't think
literally
anything of it.
what they did to the video, because I
Not
said,
so long after my father
watch.
came down, we asked him if he heard the
They
single
removed
gunshot. He
another
said no.
1 minute.
We stepped out front of his house and looked, and we could see a large glow in the sky
Now
from
you don't
a
see
very
the blue
large
car.
fire.
You don't see the lady on the side.
My brother said he was going to go up and check it out. My father told him not to. My brother said, "I'll be right back." I was sitting there with my dad, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting. My brother.
This shit gets spooky, man. You got to watch these people, and they know what they're doing. Anyway, let's finish out the report. She disappeared. Yeah, Star Trek. A Wonder Woman. Wonder where she went. It is, but they were trying to. The 9-minute 15-second one is not the. They were still pushing like as they went back in September. So as we're going further along in the story, right, Mr. Moneypenny, the eyes are focusing on current pieces of information. Current pieces of information. They're doing the propaganda, like the Wikipedia, one tactical unit type thing. See you later, Blue Nose. See you. Sorry, I'm almost done. But I will talk to you later. Thank you for dropping by. Maybe they just clipped out the part about walking to the beach. Yeah, that's for another day. Not now. Anyways. The totality of the evidence establishes that the SOs had reasonable, that's legal, grounds. I would love to see that proven in a court of law. The onus, burden of proof in civil court, standard, much lower. Much easier to win than in criminal court. Reasonable grounds, I would like to see proven. As I would in Enfield and all the residents of Pictou. You guys all have lawsuits, and I would exercise them. Yes, it's all of us paying them in part. You have to sue the RCMP pension, because they can't hide behind that shield if it's not reasonable, right? So that's the only protection that they get, to believe that a person they saw who was disobeying orders was the mass murderer who had, in fact, in the preceding hour, killed three more persons. So if we're going with that, then basically what we're saying here is that if you disobey a police officer, they have the right to open fire on you. Even if you believe their story, the SHiT's story, which I don't. I don't know about where you guys are, but is almost halfway done is just really halfway done. Thanks for that. I only have a few more words, and I don't have any real video clips to show. The mass murder. So if you disobey, you wear a vest that changes colors, because what color vest again was he wearing? I believe if we got the Millbrook tape, which I think we haven't completely dissected because I still have some more pieces of information to drop on that one. Note the puddle, that's one from a long ways back, but
Lloyd Johnson isn't on Twitter, but his daughter, who lives in Cape Breton, is. When she saw Nova Scotia's RCMP tweet,
Now, again, this takes place later, and there's no way, obviously, they would know that he's wearing a vest because they wouldn't have this tape. And it didn't surface till later. But here they want to say he's wearing a yellow vest.
Shortly after he left.
I don't know.
not one to rush or panic, Johnson says.
Changing colors. Okay. Moving along. What about down in... If you go down to the Shub. The Shubanen... Oh, I'm not going to touch it. For some reason, I second-guessed myself, so I'm going to leave that one alone for right now. If we go down to the Shub, right? And we go to... Oh, where is it here? I'm not seeing a yellow vest. So somehow, I guess, between the fire hall, they established that he's not wearing an orange vest. Because his girlfriend told him in the middle of the night, you know, he needs to wear those traffic vests in the middle of the night. It's almost like that jacket. Shuby. The Shuby. Okay, I'm not going to get into it. Come on. I'm doing good. Can't burst my bubble. My pronunciation is getting better. I hear. What's the one I can say no problem? There's one I can say absolutely no problem. People are like, wow, you can say that. I'm like, okay, that one's not hard. Viewed objectively in the light of protections afforded to peace officers by Section 25. That's the protection. Let's shields up. You can't touch us legally of the criminal code. But the shield is gone if you don't have reasonable grounds. And it, like I said, in a civil court, the burden of proof is much lower. The totality of the circumstances in which was a rapidly unfolding series of events. Does that sound familiar? Sound kind of like the RCMP. Sounds, well, that's right, because their employees are basically RCMP. What was it, 3/4? Or former RCMP? Because you have, as I recall, 4 people on the SHiT. 4. 2 civilians, but the 2 civilian investigators are former cops, former RCMP. You have 1 currently serving RCMP and 1 HRP. But that makes 4. It's a fully police-dominated group, and 75% are RCMP. All of 100% cops, 75% RCMP. I don't think there's any bias there at all. None. Nope, none at all. Totality of circumstances rapidly unfolding establishes that SO1 and SO2 had lawful excuse when discharged their firearms. Accordingly, no criminal offense was committed and no criminal charges warranted against either officer. How long did you investigate? Months. Did you figure out how far to the door? No. Did you talk to the people? No. But you got a video out that's clipped. If in fact it's not Global's doing, then fair. That's cool. I stand corrected. If it turns out that they were furnished the full series of 2 tapes and they themselves decided to snow you, how do you feel about that? Is it kind of like the Clinton Ellison? They don't want to tell you what really happened? Oh, yeah, it's the root system. What did I see? It was called root stem or something the other day. Stem? Stem. Root stem. That must be like Grievous Bodily and Big Fun Garage. Grit. Oh, I think if you've got a lot of people behind you, lots of people like free money. You can subscribe to people sometimes on their base instincts. Sometimes. And lots of people, I'm sure, really don't like what's going on down there. I'm sure lots of you don't. 50 Shades of Fluorescent Yellow, if you know what I mean. Orange, it's yellow, it's reflective, it's shortly thereafter, like the language in there. That's what's transparent, is the BS bonged out in the Big Fun Garage. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been a long night for you guys all. I appreciate once again always you sticking by and watching. Please, I don't like to say anything self-promoting because that's not my way. But how about this? Maybe I can put it this way. How about this? This makes me feel more comfortable. How about you share this for all the great people who are doing lots of investigating free of charge because they have huge hearts? Share it around. Talk to your friends, neighbors. Ask them some questions. Let's get some more people on board. 1 year is coming up. Let's try and grow as a society. Big fun. I'm not going to touch that. If we can see the errors clearly, then why can't the media? Oh, the media most certainly can. The media most certainly can. That's the next hurdle mentally one has to go to understand the complicity. Somewhere along the line. Perhaps it's not Sarah Ritchie. I'm not saying that. But somewhere up along the line in different organizations, CBC, Global. CTV seems to be less so, but CTV also is a lot less active. CTV, funnily enough, was the first people that issued CTV Atlantic the tape of the non-cropped version of the tape. And I remember way back, Adrian, just my stupid opinion. He's like, oh yeah, the timestamp in the corner. I'm like, timestamp? He's like, yeah, CTV Atlantic has it. I'm like, right on, bro. Because they would always edit that out. Something else somebody sent me today, interesting, I saw about some more editing going on. Anyway, Powers, you guys got great brains, great eyes. We got a super group. We're all really lucky to have each other. Awesome. And no, David, they're not going to touch that. So there are 5 different camera footage clips in Global from 5 different angles, I should say. From, sorry, which? No, just call it the Shooby. Was I wrong in calling it the Shoob? Rebel's not going to touch it with 10-foot pole, but that's for another day. No, Global showed the full tape? Which full tape? Global showed the full tape of both angles? Careful. You're treading on ground. You know what I'm talking about. Global showed the first tape. Don't listen to the haters. Anyway, if somebody did, she showed the full tape. Okay, well then you and I have to have a phone call, because if I'm incorrect on that, I stand fully 100% corrected. I haven't seen the full tape. This is the only tape I've had access to. Front, inside, left, back, right sides. So all of them have been seen. No clipping. Well, shit. I stand fully corrected if that's true. Okay. I take it all back. They have my sincerest apologies. Perhaps you can send that along to me. Is that possible? Anyways, thanks very much, everybody, for hanging tough and participating and sharing and doing all that good stuff. And thanks to everybody, of course, always in the Discord. And oh dear, great videos. Yeah, no, we're really, really lucky to have be part. How about this? I phrase it always that way. I feel very lucky to be part of a good team. And the good team is making headway. And we are praying for the families, as always. God bless everybody. Take care. Thanks ever so much for your participation. Thanks, Sharon, for sharing your knowledge.